All right, everyone, welcome into episode 210 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports here on this Monday morning, December 1st, 2025. Um,
I think you're back.
all right, there we go. Well, I'm glitching out like Tennessee's defense right now. Okay, I think it's good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We are, for some reason, things are slow. You'd think things would be faster here at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I guess not. Yeah, well, my whole computer is like freezing up. What in the
So let
world?
me do the intro. Welcome into Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports in this December already, December 1st, 2025, the last month of the year of our Lord 2025. I'm Gus Tomazelli here at Decio Vida Stadium, the home of the Rio Branco Tigers. And joining me, hopefully with all the technology figured out, in Nicholas Hill on this Monday morning episode. Yeah, normally we do night or very late at night, but we're doing the morning because there's so many things to talk about it. Hopefully Nick is back. Nick, do we have you?
All right, I think so.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear you now.
all right. Yeah, for some reason, this computer is being incredibly slow this morning. I don't know why. It was working just fine. We were talking before the show, like we always do, and it was fine. And then as soon as we get going in the countdown, it just completely fell apart. Maybe that is a good analogy for for what has transpired here over this past weekend in college football. Uh, I don't know, but
Yeah, a lot of things that happen in the college football world, uh, on and off the field. Yeah, I guess Nick's gonna have to do like I did with technology, um, uh, with the computers and stuff. But yeah, so while waiting for Nick to be back, I want to shout out our listeners. Emília Camargo, hey grandma, oi vó, bom dia vó, assistindo em Americana, watching Americana, my grandma, minha avó, Emília Camargo, também a Suzana, um grande abraço, estão acompanhando lá em Americana, acompanhando o nosso podcast do Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. And, muito obrigado. Thank you for everyone joining our pod this morning. We're going to get going. Sometimes it can be tricky, but let me see if Nick is back. Yeah, Nick is back.
all right. So I've just kind of set up my phone here while I'm restarting my whole laptop.
Yeah,
I've
it
never seen
happens.
I,
It
I've never
happens.
seen that happen before with this
Uh,
laptop.
just
It's so weird.
just a real tip. Do the thingy, the rotate thing, so you can see you horizontally as well.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes.
perfect.
Yeah, I should be back on my computer here very shortly
Yeah,
because I
but
restarted the whole
no.
thing.
Let's do with the phone. I'm doing the phone as well. Yeah, because let's not let technology turn us down. Gustavo Barbudo watching us as well. Thank you so much. Let me put here the people who are joining us this morning. Truly appreciate all of you guys joining us here. See on our little corner the people who
All
are
right,
joining
I'm
us
joining. All
up.
right, I have the laptop back up.
Okay, good. So Nick is gonna be back real soon. Yeah, let's see. Nick,
All
are
right,
you
there
back?
we go. All right, I think we are good to go now. That was an interesting start to the podcast here, but hey, sometimes that happens. And now we can get this show on the
Yeah,
road.
it's an interesting part. Yeah, sometimes it happens.
Absolutely.
It can be
All right,
tricky.
100%. So, yeah, we got a lot to get into here. An insane weekend of college football. Um, More so off the field than even on the field, which, I mean, this is rivalry weekend we were talking about. And the fact that it was even crazier off the field just goes to show that sometimes the sport um, makes no sense. And obviously, I think the headlines of the weekend were down in Oxford, Mississippi, and Baton Rouge with the decision by Lane Kiffin. And I think, honestly, this might be the most anticipated decision by a sports figure since LeBron James's decision back in 2010 with Miami and Cleveland back in the day. Okay, so that might be like a little hyperbolic, but I think this was just this thing like overshadowed the games all weekend.
Oh yeah, I think so. And so let's get the full context. Let's do the off the field stuff because yeah, we live for drama and it's more. I guess this topic is more hot right now.
Oh, 100%.
So Lane Kiffin decided to leave the Ole Miss football program to Louisiana State University football program. And my take from this is he is a professional. He can do whatever he wants. And but it goes to show that and there's still some maybe higher rankings in college football because if you really think about it, if you put like a blind resumes, like you would have of course stay at Ole Miss. It's an established program, has been on the top of college football for the last 3 or 4 years, and LSU during the time span always were down, and this year we're even way down. But money and prestige, I guess, took Lane Kiffin away from LSU. Something, the Big Orange fans know way more than Ole Miss fans back in 2009.
Oh yeah, it's really crazy watching the last 48 hours unfold and kind of being transported back to myself when I was an 11-year-old boy. I'll never forget. I was watching American Idol on one Monday night. I believe it was January the 12th, 2010, after the 2009 season. And I was just watching American Idol. And then the newscast came on the Fox station here right after that show ended. And they come on and said, and Kiffin is leaving Tennessee to take USC. And of course, back then, like I didn't follow college football like I do now. So this came completely out of nowhere, and 11-year-old me was shocked. I'm like, why is our coach leaving us? Because obviously Lane Kiffin, and to go back, right, this back when Lane Kiffin was a young coach, he had been with the Raiders, and of course he had taken the job at Tennessee in late 2008 after we got rid of Philip Fulmer, our national championship winning coach, and so he comes in with this whole, we're going to be Florida, the Lane train's here, it's time. And the first season was not terrible. Like we won 7-6. The offense got really going there in the second half of the year. Jonathan Crofton threw, I think, 26 touchdowns in that season. So this team here was very entertaining. So we were really excited to see what he would do because he had some really good recruits lined up. And when he ditched Tennessee for USC back in 2010, that was quite heartbreaking. As an 11-year-old kid, I'm like, why does he want to leave Tennessee? Now, I think,
and the way he did was really weird. I mean, as a PR guy, I don't know. It's as a sports PR, that whole thing should have been some sort of a case of study to what not do, because that was the most weird press conference and way he left. Like, I'll give credit to Ole Miss. I watched their social medias. They didn't put anything. They didn't announce anything. They just put the new coach, because anything they would have said would have been just, I know the media would have loved it, but for the program itself, it's about moving forward. And that whole thing will even ignite the fans even more and made the whole thing even more skeptical than it should have been.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss did everything they should have in this case, right? Because you have all these rumors circling around the program about, like, oh, is Lane Kiffin going to LSU? Is Lane Kiffin going to Florida? Well, if you're Ole Miss, you can't just sit back and let that happen to you, right? Like, I don't blame the AD for trying to force a decision here, because he has a program to protect. He has a playoff run to protect. And, Lane Kiffin admitted as much yesterday in his interview to Marty Smith that, look, like, I understand that Keith Carter has people to answer to here in Mississippi, and that he had to protect his program here. And especially considering that was talking to a rival in LSU. It's like, obviously, I'm not on air today, I'm off. But it's like if I went and was flirting with Channel 3 or Channel 9 or whatever, right? Like, like in my competitors, like I wouldn't be kept on. Because
no, an example here, Rio Branco happened this year. Our performance analyst had a job offer from a rival, not a direct rival, but a competition kind of team. Paulista is going to play the same division, the same tournament Rio Branco is going to play. And at first, he turned it down and he stayed the team, but on a Friday afternoon, while we here at Rio Branco were having lunch, we got off guard that he was having a meeting at the Paulista, coaching staff, and and the team itself put a video saying coaching staff meeting preparing for 2026. Like, he was fired almost immediately with cause.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, right, like, as individuals, we have the right to pursue opportunities that may come our way.
Yeah.
But your employer also has the right to protect their self-interest. And for Ole Miss here, like, not letting Lane Kiffin coach the playoff game is in their self-interest, because why do you want a guy in the building who can take your entire roster? Because we live in an era where there are no rules. Everyone gets a free transfer. And you don't want LSU to just be you next year, and then, like, you've got to have a team next year. And it's just an impossible situation, because I feel so bad for Ole Miss in this situation, because this is their best season ever. They're about to be one of the 12 teams that get to play for a national championship here in a couple of weeks. And they have been basically thrown against the wall, absolutely discarded by their head coach, because he decided he'd rather be somewhere else. And I'm not even saying Lane's making the wrong decision here necessarily, because, like, LSU does have more resources. Everyone wins national championships at LSU unless you're Brian Kelly, at least this century. Nick Saban's won a national title there. Les Miles won a national title there. Ed Orgeron won a national title there. So, like, yes, LSU is easier to win. But I really, honestly, truthfully, I was deep down really hoping that Lane would choose to stay at Ole Miss. I wanted just to see if he had actually changed, because I felt like he may have actually changed a little bit, because, yeah, he broke my heart a long, long time ago, 15 years ago when I was.
But it's like the old saying, a snake is a snake. You can, I don't remember the full saying, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, you are who you are. You can be shaping, you can maybe mature, but, like, your attitude, your personality, it is what it is. And he embraces that. He embraces the villain character, the hate me or love me, but I'm here. You know, he embraces that.
Oh, 100%. And, I don't know if you saw the situation with the sports reporter guys, the reporter.
Oh yeah, I saw.
So
I
basically,
mean, I love that those coaches don't realize that for the reporter itself is amazing. The reporter, you know, that was his moment. But for Lane Kiffin, like just ignore the buzz. Like you are a college football head coach that earns like they get paid millions of dollars. You're gonna get sometimes harsh criticism and harsh words, but don't react, you know, in the down level because for the media it's great. Like you're feeding the media what they want.
right. And he has turned Ben Garrett into a legend in Oxford because you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. I mean, and that's what he said on his podcast last week.
Yeah.
And guess what? Lane Kiffin has proven him correct because he never changed. He will never change.
What is it? What is the name of the reporter again?
Ben Garrett.
Ben Garrett deserves to have an award for Sports Reporter of the Year in the state of Mississippi. There should have been an award for him. Not only he made a very provocative article, not only he affected the person he talked about in the article, but he get it right. Like, what else do you want? Like, he got the trifecta.
Yeah, because Ben, he's from Mississippi. He loves Ole Miss. I think he went to the University of Mississippi. He cares about Ole Miss, just like we care about the University of Tennessee, and we
have a sense of belonging. You more than I do because you're born in the state of Tennessee. You went to the university. I mean, I had the pleasure to live in Knoxville for 7 years and work in the radio station, the student radio station of the University of Tennessee. But you understand Ben more than I do.
100%. And because I've literally been there with this guy. And I really, for them, I wanted it to be different. I wanted this to be different for them because he was building something special there. And I really honestly think he could have won big there eventually. Now, Lane Kiffin still really hasn't won big yet. And he's thrown away his chance to coach in the playoffs now. And wouldn't it be just hilarious if he never gets to coach in the playoffs? What if he completely bombs at LSU and he threw away his one shot to actually coach in the playoffs?
And how about that? How about if Ole Miss go in a deep run and at least make the semis or even the national championship?
Which I think there's a very good chance. I mean, think about the only loss they had was Georgia, a close loss on the road, and they were running up and down the field on Georgia all day long. They threw up 34 on Oklahoma. Now, we've seen how good Oklahoma's defense is this year. Probably the best defense in college. Well, okay, Ohio State has the best defense in college football, but Oklahoma probably has the second best defense in college football. And Ole Miss just went over into Norman and owned them. Like, Ole Miss is a fantastic team, and they're going to have a chance to win some football games. And it is asinine to me that Lane Kiffin's just leaving that. Because, and I get it that long term, you can probably win more at LSU. I get that. But, man, I cannot believe that we have reached a point in college football where everything is so screwed up with the calendar, with the kind of just how everything is set up, that we've got coaches bailing before the playoffs. And this is kind of like one of the big overarching themes I want to talk about today. It feels like college football is jumping the shark right now because how are we supposed to take these playoffs seriously if the coaches aren't willing to stick around for them? If players are willing to opt out, what's even the point here? In terms of who gets in, how it's determined. When we have 7 and 5 teams playing for conference titles this week, that could seriously impact things because the conferences are too big. And I'm definitely going to explore more of those issues individually. But this Lane Kiffin situation is the face of everything that is wrong with college football. And I saw someone bring this up about how, yes, college football has some of the most fanatic fans of any sport. Probably the most fanatic fans are definitely in the U.S., probably only topped by soccer fans in South America and Europe. But Yeah, and the reason why that is because we're all connected to these schools. Like we went to school at UT. Like all the people all across the country went.
The,
They grew up next to somewhere. It's ingrained
hmm.
if you're in the South, and that goes a long way, but it doesn't go forever. And at some point, you have to start asking, where is the line to where people are going to stop caring? If you go for a whole season, like if you're an Ole Miss fan, you've gone through this entire season and you've won 11 games. You just beat your biggest rival on Friday at Mississippi State. You are about to play for the playoffs, and now your whole season's been derailed because your coach has to leave now to start his next job, and he can't wait because of the calendar. Uh, like this is not good. You don't see this in the NFL.
And how about this, Nick? Let me show you something. So I still am getting emails from LSU because I bought a ticket to a game this year, against Louisiana Tech. And when you buy tickets, you get the mail from and the mailing list. Look what email I got on Sunday night. Hold on.
Yeah, I see that. The Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but look what it says here.
The 2026 LSU football season ticket request list.
Yeah, and they're already who they're promoting.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, they're going to be their selling brand for the tickets. And look what they says. The Lane Kiffin era has officially begun at LSU. So they didn't waste no time for reaching out to, I guess from donors to people that bought tickets one time to a one game.
Oh, 100%. It's always about next year. It's also funny too because LSU can go to a bowl game. I'm sure they will go play in a bowl game, but no one cares about that. I mean, we've killed off bowl season, which used to mean something. It doesn't anymore.
But is he allowed to coach for LSU? I guess he is, or
I mean,
not.
he could, but he probably won't. I mean, why waste? I mean, he'd be dumb to waste time on this bowl game. I mean, I guess he'll be at practice, probably installing stuff. But he's going to be focused on recruiting.
But this bowl game could be a recruiting pitching point, and also winning a bowl game, meaningless or not, is great media exposure.
Yeah, but it's all about like LSU fans. They don't care what happens in this bowl game. They're just thinking about September next year, and they got Lane Kiffin as their head coach. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
You know, Ole Miss is actually playing for something. They're actually playing for a national championship here soon. And speaking of that, I mean, that's not even a guarantee, right? Because we've seen the College Football Playoff Committee punish teams for stuff out of their control before. Like, look at what they did to Florida State 2 years ago, right? Jordan Travis goes down, and they leave the undefeated Florida State Seminoles out of the playoffs. Now, in retrospect, that was probably the right decision because Michigan and Alabama was an incredible football game, and Florida State, Michigan would have been awful. But Florida State won every single one of their football games in their conference title, and did not get rewarded for it at all. Should Ole Miss at all be concerned about the playoff committee punishing them for this? And I don't think it'll happen here because you would have to dump Ole Miss behind 5 teams to do it. And plus, they're keeping the majority of their staff. They should be keeping all their players. So I think, if you're the playoff committee, you shouldn't punish them too much. But we've seen how unserious this playoff committee is, right? The whole thing lasted with the Oregon Ole Miss, they were asking Hunter Yurich, who is in hot water himself. We'll get to that in a little bit. They're asking, well, why did you put Oregon up front of Ole Miss? He was like 6-7. The playoff committee is full of fools. So it feels like they could drop Ole Miss a spot or two because they're like, well, they don't have Lane Kiffin anymore, so they're probably not as good as they used to be, and that could cost them a home playoff game. I mean, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, that's something I'm worried about right now, because Ole Miss should get to host a playoff game here in the first round, and I still think they're going to. But you can't trust this playoff committee. Like, this playoff committee is full of people who don't know what they're doing.
No. And I guess since we're on a topic about also the college football committee and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if they, I not say Texas ahead of Ole Miss, but buy the pitch for Steve Sarkisian, because Steve Sarkisian, after the game was over in Austin, has been pitching the same preach. It's like, if you leave us out of the playoff, this will damage, scheduling non-conference interesting games. It will be punishing us,
Well, they lost to 4-8 Florida.
And then and Steve Sarkisian had a comeback to that. Oh, but Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois at home and made the national championship game.
Well, I was on record all last year saying that should have been a disqualifying loss, and the CFL completely ignored me. So because I was on here arguing that all year last year that was a disqualifying loss. And to me, like, that loss at Florida is a disqualifying loss for Texas. It should be a disqualifying loss. Now, to Texas's credit, they do have 3 top 10 wins. They have Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. Like they have some fantastic wins. But the loss at Florida, like, if you didn't lose to Florida, yeah, Texas would 100% be in, and they would deserve to be in. And I do think that Texas is probably one of the best 12 teams in the country, but you got to win your games at some point, man. Like, you got to win your games, and you can't be losing to 4-win Florida teams. Like, sorry. And kind of weaving it back here to Ole Miss real quick, or on the topic of the playoffs. So they are promoting their defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, to permanent head coach, which is kind of interesting that Ole Miss decided to not really conduct a coaching search here. Or maybe they did decide to conduct a coaching search, but they kind of just decided, you know what, we need to keep the staff intact for these playoffs. And you wonder if Ole Miss was not in the playoffs right now, would Ole Miss have gone out and done an actual proper coaching search? Because that's what it feels like to me. Now, Pete Golding has been kind of a controversial DC in the SEC. Like, he used to be at Alabama before Ole Miss. Bama fans really didn't like him very much. I remember he was the DC when Alex Golesh and Josh Heupel threw up 52 on him back in 2022. I was absolutely torched every single year by the Vols and had some really just awful games as Alabama's DC before going to Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss defense is not too bad. They're pretty good this year. And I do think that Ole Miss wants someone who isn't so drama-filled. They want someone who
But you have to wait and see what happens in December. What if they go on a deep run with the coach they appointed, which looks like gonna be the official one, because the way they put it in, because they say Pete Golding, head football coach.
Yeah, he is the head football coach. It's permanent. They're not doing like a full-on coaching search.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because, I mean, and I guess part of it is there were so many teams out there looking for coaches that there was no one else to go find. So I think Ole Miss just decided to hang on to the DC and try to hang on to their recruiting class, because Lane's going to try to steal the class. And it's kind of the same situation with Tennessee, where he was telling players to not go to class tomorrow so they could be allowed to transfer to USC, which is just a dirty situation. But hey, in the Wild West of college football, that's where we're at. Like it's just straight up. I mean, it's a free for all. It's Game of Thrones. It's anarchy in college football right now. So I do think for Ole Miss, right? Like, I'll be curious to see who calls the plays here. Like, I wonder if it'll be Joe Judge, the former New York Giants head coach, because he's on staff. Apparently, Charlie Weiss Jr., the OC of this team is going with Kiffin to LSU. So I wonder if it'll be Joe Judge as the OC, because I mean, obviously Pete Golden will still be the defensive coordinator, so the defensive staff is still there. And I don't know if you saw, Gus, the exchange. There's an article out where apparently Golden and Kiffin were watching the Iron Bowl together. Because remember, if Auburn had somehow upset Alabama in the Iron Bowl, Ole Miss would have gone to Atlanta next week. And, Golden apparently told Kiffin that, why are you even here? Go home and watch the rest of this. You don't work here anymore.
Oh, that was the audio leak?
Well, not the audio leak. It was in an article.
Oh, because there was a rumor there was an audio leak from the last meeting from Lane Kiffin to the players. But yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, it reminds me, in the situation, it's exactly like when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, remember? Because Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame to go to LSU, and basically the entire staff stays behind at Notre Dame. And Marcus Freeman was elevated from DC to HC. And Marcus Freeman has literally gone and coached in the national title game when Brian Kelly got fired at LSU. Could Pete Golden do the same thing that Marcus Freeman has done at Notre Dame? That will be fascinating. Now, I think Lane Kiffin will be much better at LSU. Brian Kelly, from all indications, was not recruiting hard. He just never fit the culture down there. Like, Lane Kiffin fits LSU. He does. Like, he's arrogant, he's brash, and that's what LSU football is about. Now, LSU fans should know heading into this, you're going to have fun. You are going to have a lot of fun. You better be ready for the end of it, though. You just know that when Alabama or Texas or an NFL job comes calling, he's ditching you.
Yeah, it's a Lane train, literally, or Lane the Lane roller coaster. Because train at least is steady. Roller coasters are up and down, and at the end of the ride, you can be left very nauseated.
I mean, it's a hookup. It is a hookup with the 10 at the bar. You have to make it count while you've got him. And we'll be curious to see how quickly he gets a product up. Shout out to Robert Hanley. You missed us. Well, I'll be back tomorrow, Robert. Hopefully, y'all have a good day at work. Shout out to my.
Are you live on TikTok too?
Yes.
Good.
Hopefully, nothing too crazy happens today here in Chattanooga. And also, that's from Lillian. Sent that. I guess the whole newsroom is watching me right now do this podcast. Hopefully, y'all have some good stories today. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if the people here at Real Bronco are watching me. Maybe I'll send the link. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, shout out also to, I want to just shout out Robert. I don't know if he's still watching or not, but shout out to North Texas as well. He's a North Texas alum. He actually was at the game on Friday. And of course, North Texas is playing possibly for a playoff spot this week at Tulane. So let's go Mean Green. I'm rooting for North Texas this week, and we'll talk about that game here in a little bit.
And also the coach situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that'll be a game with no more coaches here. Oh, Lillian has joined in. Hey, I don't know if Robert saw it, but I was shouting out North Texas and saying that we are rooting for the Mean Green here on this podcast to win the American Conference and to make the playoffs. Would be a whole lot of fun. Well, make sure you don't miss our morning meeting. I hope you guys are already having your morning meeting. It's 9:50. Not to talk a lot about the inner workings of the newsroom. There's some proprietary secrets over there.
Ooh.
Oh man, but hey, go North Texas. We love to see it. Okay, so where are we at here? Let's we mentioned Tulane. Tulane and North Texas here. Robert is saying the Mean Green. Here, shout out to the Mean Green. They beat Texas to get their spot in the championship. Of course, our head coach, Eric Morris, is heading to Oklahoma State after the season, but trying to give North Texas their first playoff appearance ever. Their opponent this week, Tulane, their head coach, John Summerall, is going to Florida. And Florida fans are very not happy. The Vols lost me money this weekend. Yeah, I know. Not a good weekend. We're talking about that here soon. But John Summerall going to Florida. Fans are not happy because they wanted Lane Kiffin. They wanted the experience on the Lane train, and they were the ones who got rejected at the bar this weekend. They got rejected, and they're going home all sad and sulky, and they are settling for John Summerall. John Summerall is a very hot commodity name. He's done very well at Tulane and Troy. But I think from the Florida perspective, they are looking at, all right, so we just hired a G5 coach from the state of Louisiana again. That's what they are looking at. So the Florida fan who wanted Lane Kiffin, this reminds me a lot of Tennessee not getting John Green. Or John Gruden, excuse me. Not John Green's an author. John Gruden,
Which was crazy that it's like, 8 years ago to this day, there was rumors. Like, I literally saw a video that I shared from Colin Cowherd, literally 8 years ago to this day, and how the tables have turned.
Oh, absolutely. Like, Florida is where Tennessee used to be. Now, I have some messages to Ball Nation here in a little while. We have to have a come to Jesus meeting here in Ball Nation here soon. But on Florida, though, Florida is it's that situation where Florida can come back relatively quickly, right? You're in the state of Florida. You have access to a lot of talent. I think Summerall seems to be a bit more competent than Billy Napier. At least you have to hope so if you're Florida, right? Because Billy Napier, he seemed like obviously he was passionate. He wanted to win, but he couldn't figure out how to he just couldn't figure out how to make it work at the SEC level, especially from the fact that he was so calm the plays and that I think he made things more complicated than they should have been at Florida. I think for John Summerall, just kind of listening to some different people talk about him, it sounds like he's a bit more flexible, a bit more amendable. And I think at Florida, right, like that's a job where you kind of have to weave in and out of, because you are dealing with Florida State and Miami in the same state. Your main rival, Georgia, is on a run right now. And I think for Florida, right, like they want fun. Florida fans want their team to be fun. And right now, Florida is not fun. Like, that we saw Tennessee, Florida last week. That game was horrible for Florida. Like, they just were terrible. Now, shout out to them this week. They did beat Florida State, which, man, if you're FSU, is there any program in the country that's more down bad right now than Florida State? Like, they are keeping their coach after losing to Florida and missing a bowl game for the second straight year in a row. Like, I don't know what Florida State's even doing. Like, how do you even convince people to buy season tickets next year at Florida State? Just absolute garbage can program. Like, you got lucky 2 years ago, went undefeated, got left out, and then the program just died. Like, outside of one random one over Alabama.
The most random win in college football in this decade.
100%. And the result makes no sense. Because I think if the two played again, Bama would win by like 30.
Yeah.
But it's like all they did all offseason was practice for that one game, and they won. I'm like, okay, we've accomplished our goal this year, and they just laid down and died for the rest of the year.
I guess they did. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't got any wins on the ACC, right?
Nope. They lost every single last one of them, and
it makes no sense.
Like in this ACC, where a 7-5 team is in the ACC championship game, they couldn't win a single ACC game. Just it's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But I think for my message to Florida fans, and I'm not one to necessarily want to comfort Florida fans, but I think this hire is better than they think it is. Like, I'm not saying Summerall's going to go and make them Urban Meyer again, but what they were under Urban Meyer. But you got to look at the history of Florida football in general. Outside of having Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer, Florida is a mid program. They are like they have 2 really good decades out of 9. And I think for Florida, yes, your potential is very, very high.
And still didn't make no sense when they fired Dan Mullen.
Yeah,
he was doing a fine job.
And like what's crazy is Dan Mullen now would be like a perfect coach in the NIL era. because now you can just hire a GM. Like that was the main problem with Dan Mullen is the guy doesn't recruit. But now you're in a point where you don't even need your coach to recruit. You can get a GM to do that. And like, just let Dan Mullen do the coaching on the field because the dude knows how to win football games on the field. Let someone else handle the recruiting. And Florida would be much better off in that situation than what they are now. Now, my first like curiosity here for John Summerall is, does he keep DJ Lagway as his quarterback? Because Lagway was awful this year for Florida. I'll be curious to see who his offensive coordinator is because Summerall is a defensive guy. So who's your OC, and does DJ Lagway pair up with him? Because a lot of Florida fans don't want Lagway back. And I think Lagway is going to be a starter somewhere because Lagway is just he's kind of like Anthony Richardson, where someone's going to take a look at him and think, I can fix him. So he's going to start somewhere. I just don't know if it's going to be at Florida. And then if they run off DJ Lagway, then the question is where does he go? So it'll be very interesting to see what Florida does. Now, I think honestly, low-key, like the most underrated hire this whole cycle, and maybe I'm just a little biased here, but Auburn getting Alex Golesh from South Florida.
That was a steal.
Excellent hire. Because it looked like Alex Golesh was going to go to Arkansas. But apparently Auburn came in, and I guess when they realized Summerall was going to Florida, because I think Auburn's really wanting to get Summerall. But when they realized that Summerall was going to Florida, like, okay, we need to go get Golesh. And so they go down. They apparently Arkansas was willing to offer him $7 million. Auburn came in and gave him 7.4, and Arkansas wouldn't count it. So Auburn gets Alex Golesh, and look, you know me, I love me some Alex Golesh, right? Like this dude helped revive Tennessee football alongside Josh Heupel. Like what he did in 21 and 22 with Hendon Hooker was amazing. Like that 22 offense is my favorite Tennessee offense I've ever watched. And he's done very, very well for himself at South Florida. Like this year, they upset Boise State, of course, we went in the swamp, and upset Florida. My one concern about Golesh is he did blow an American title this year. Like, because I think he had the best roster in the American Conference. But going out and losing to Navy, going out and losing to Memphis, just some really, really strange losses for South Florida this year that really cost them a chance at a playoff spot. Because South Florida should be playing for a playoff spot this week in the American title game, and they blew it. That does have to concern you, I think, a little bit if you're Auburn. But otherwise, like Golesh, he's very passionate. He's very innovative. And at the very least, he should be able to fix the offense at Auburn. Because my God, Gus, the offense at Auburn for like 10 years now has been horrible. Like it like this situation this year with Jackson Arnold was a disgrace to Auburn. Like that offense was horrific. Now they did show some life over the past couple of weeks of Ashton Daniels. Like, their offense didn't look bad at all against Alabama. They had over 400 yards of offense in the Iron Bowl. They threw up 38 against Vanderbilt, and their offense played better against Vandy than Tennessee's did. So there's definitely pieces. There's a lot of talent there at Auburn. And I think Golesh could make them better immediately.
Yeah, he's proven he's on a rise. I mean, what he did at Tennessee as a coordinator, at South Florida as a coach. I mean, South Florida, had a tough schedule, and they had a good season. So I thought he was going to Florida because the recruit would have been even better. Same state. I thought Florida was going to get Alex Golesh, but that was a good hire for Auburn.
Oh yeah. Now, the school that lost out on Alex Golesh was Arkansas, and Arkansas football is down bad. They are very down bad right now. I am going to pull up a picture, Gus, to show the audience.
Hold on, let me go to my other phone to put the where do you put it?
Yeah, because this is an absolute hilarity right here. So remember Shiano Sunday, 2017. There was a ton of Tennessee fans that showed up to protest. That was the scene in Fayetteville, Arkansas yesterday. You had fans with paper bags saying, "God save Arkansas, fire Hunter Yurachek," who's, by the way, the leader of the College Football Playoff Committee. And then looking at all of these candidates, they wanted James Franklin, who chose Virginia Tech over Arkansas. Brett Lashley, who wants to stay at SMU over Arkansas. Dan Mullen, who I don't know if they ever contacted him or not. I would imagine he would want to leave UNLV for Arkansas, but I guess he never did. Summerall chose Florida over Arkansas. Morris chose Oklahoma State over Arkansas. Alex Golesh chose Auburn over Arkansas. So who did that leave them with? Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield, who, if you go on Memphis Twitter yesterday, they were celebrating. Like, they were like, thank you. Because, like, Kiffin or Silverfield only went 4-4 in the American Conference this year. Now, they did upset Arkansas, but Memphis fans did not like him. And they were like, thank you for taking this coach off our hands, which is never a good sign. It's quite literally never a good sign when the team that the coach is leaving is like, thank you for leaving us. And Arkansas finished 2-10 this year. They lost to Missouri Saturday. There's a guy I watch. His name is Trey Biddy. He's one of the lead beat reporters for Arkansas. He does these walk-in talks after every Arkansas game. And he was really yelling after this game Saturday. He was basically like, I'm sick and tired of this program being irrelevant. And it doesn't feel like anybody cares. Like, he was talking about how light the traffic was. And he's just like, it doesn't feel like they care. And I think for Arkansas right now, it feels like maybe outside of Kentucky, they're like the worst program in the SEC. Because this is an uninspiring hire for Arkansas. And Silverfield may do better. He might do okay. I don't know if he does better than Sam Pittman. Like, Sam Pittman had some highs at Arkansas. And Arkansas should be decent. Like, they have Walmart and Tyson Foods and J.B. Hunt all headquartered there in Northwest Arkansas. There's money in Northwest Arkansas. Like, I mean, Arkansas in general is a pretty poor state, but, like, Northwest Arkansas is a rapidly growing, it's one of the most rapidly growing metros in the entire country. Like, there is a lot going on there in NWA. But Arkansas is completely out of line right now in terms of how football works. So, like, you look at their other sports, they're good. Like, basketball under Coach Cowles is pretty decent. It should be a tournament team this year. Baseball, of course, is a power who I know they haven't won a national championship yet, but I think they will eventually do it. Although I hope they don't, because I love making fun of them for it. But, like, football is just the only one right now that's an outright disaster. And Arkansas historically has been a really good football school. They played in the game of the century in like 1969. They had Gary McFadden. They were top 10 in early like 2022. Arkansas can be really, really good. And right now it feels like they are in the wilderness. And I don't know if this hire really is going to fix that. It is a kind of, it's a mind-numbing hire for them. And it feels like a desperation hire. It feels like basically if Florida got left at the bar, Arkansas didn't even get into the bar. They just had to go into the little like side tavern down the street to find someone. You know, like that's where Arkansas is at. Like, I don't know how further down bad they could be. So it's just, if you're Arkansas, man, I understand. And look, I'm always down for a good fan protest. Yeah, because I've been there and have done that, Gus. So what do you think about this whole Arkansas situation?
No, you describe it perfectly. Football for the Southeast universities is the main sport. And when football does not do well, it affects the entire athletic department. And Arkansas fans, they are just feeling lost. You know, Sam Pittman felt like the guy wasn't. Then Bobby Petrino comes in, interim head coach, then the official head coach, but the program implodes, and it's a whole mess.
100%. So I'll be curious to see how Arkansas moves forward. Now, a team now that has decided to enter the coaching market today is Kentucky. They have finally decided to fire Mark Stoops after 13 years. The 41-0 loss to Louisville will do that. Shout out to Jason and all my friends there who went to Louisville. Big win for them to finish their season. But,
so let's get the Southeastern Conference standings. So the bottom one changed coach. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I guess with Ole Miss 6 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's more than a third.
I know, like, it's absolutely insane. I mean, 6 teams will have new head coaches. We may not be done. We may not be done yet.
Yeah, because they're still waiting on South Carolina and if they're going to keep Shane Beam, because I guess
they'll keep Beamer. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about a different team that we support, to say the least. Yeah, but on Kentucky, though, I mean, this was a decision they had to make. I mean, all the excitement in Kentucky for football, whatever excitement there was in Kentucky for football, was what had completely gone away. Like, I mean, Kentucky's just a boring team to watch. Like, they are unexciting. They had some really, really good seasons under Mark Stoops. You know, like 21, 22, they were really, really good when they had Will Levis there. But they couldn't figure out quarterback. It felt like watching an ancient team. And if you're Kentucky, you know, I get it, right, that you're never going to be the best football school, right? Because your focus is on basketball at Kentucky. But Kentucky can be actually really good at football. We've seen them be pretty good at football from time to time. And I think if you're Kentucky, you've got to go and get someone who's going to do something innovative. You have to break the grain, because when you're an underdog program, you got to do something that people don't do before. Look at Vandy. And I'm really going to get into here in a little bit, how the stuff that Tim Beck and Diego Papia were doing is stuff I really haven't seen before. They're like the RPOs, where you have no clue if Diego's going to pass, where he's going to run. I mean, it's quite beautiful to watch if it isn't against your team. Now, it is my team. You know, that he was doing that against on Saturday. But Kentucky should be aiming to do stuff like that. Like, never for 1 second, whenever I was watching Tennessee, Kentucky this year, did I think we would lose that game, because Kentucky it's a very standard football team. It's not innovative. And I know they don't have the talent that virtually anyone else does in the SEC. And, you know, I'll say this from this perspective. If you're Kentucky, why did you wait so long to get in this cycle? Because we're almost at signing day. All the other SEC teams that had openings have already filled them. And now you decide, okay, well, it's now time to enter the coaching carousel. I'm like, bro, the coaching carousel already closed. Like, the one, like, Kentucky fans, the guy they really wanted was John Summerall. Florida took him. Well, your number one guy is already off the market. So I don't know what in the world Mitch Barnhart is doing here. Like, why wait this long to make a change? I mean, maybe he didn't want to fire such a long-term guy in the middle of the season, which I get that in the loyalty. But, like, you have a responsibility to make sure your team and your program is moving in the right direction. And it feels like Mitch Barnhart slept all season until he woke up and it was like, oh, wait, we need to do something here. So for Kentucky, I think their number one candidate probably should be the Oregon offensive coordinator, Will Stein. He's from Kentucky and he's done pretty well at Oregon. Although I will say some of the Oregon fans I follow are not his biggest fans. They don't love some. They're concerned about Will Stein is that he sometimes overthinks himself. He thinks he's smarter than he actually is. In terms of, like, he gets cute, basically. But if you're Kentucky, I think you just need to revamp your commitment to football if you're going to actually be serious about it. Now, at the end of the day, right, like, Kentucky's always going to care more about basketball. But that doesn't mean you should sacrifice football. And I think already entering the coaching carousel late is a sign you're forsaking football again.
Yeah, it's I never seen the Southeastern Conference being so, teams going, because we thought Tennessee 2017 was the extreme, and the 2025 SEC season said, "Hold my beer."
Oh, 100%. Like this has been insane to watch. I mean, we're already an hour into this podcast. I mean, again, we had some problems at the start, but we haven't really talked that much about the actual results on the field. So let's do that.
Yeah, final some action.
Yeah. This one won't be too fun though. And I was referencing this a few minutes ago, but this last summer on Busted with the Boys, another podcast, Diego Pavia said that Vanderbilt was coming to run the state, that he wanted to effing beat Tennessee, and that Vanderbilt would be the best program in the state. And while I think, obviously you got to do it more than 1 year to become the best program in the state, quote unquote. They were certainly the better team this year, and they just came in. It was obviously, tied game at halftime. I think that second half that we saw on Saturday in Vanderbilt, Tennessee, is the worst half under Josh Heupel. Like, we got absolutely smoked by Vandy. And Vandy it was no fluke. I think Vandy would beat us like 8 out of 10 times this year. This is their first double-digit winning season literally ever. And shout out to Pavia, shout out to Clark Lee, shout out to Tim Beck, their offensive coordinator. This was, I don't know if humiliating is the right word, but it is, okay, we're at a crossroads now as a program. And, let's talk Vandy here, because, I don't know if Vandy's going to get into the playoffs. I think if you look at their resume, like, their best win is either Tennessee or LSU. And Tennessee, LSU, neither one of those teams are ranked at this point. Now, I think winning at Tennessee in such convincing fashion should carry a lot of weight with the committee, in my opinion, because that's hard to do. And I think the way that Vandy's playing, they would be a fun team to watch in these playoffs. Like, the RPOs they run, like, I've never really seen it before, where it looks like that Pavia's is running, and then he throws it. And I'm just, like, sitting here like, how do you stop this? Like, it was insane to watch. And it feels like there's not a lot of other guys who could run that exact offense. And Tim Beck and just the creativity of that offense, and Tim Banks just got absolutely outcoached completely. And Pavia was putting it on the money. Cedric Alexander, their running back, was just punching us on the ground, and Pavia was just punching us on the ground. And I'm just like, bro, like, can we put a quarterback spy out there? Like, it was just, it was a nightmare to watch. Like, it was like watching a torture chamber. Like, I never would have thought that Vandy would walk into Neyland and just run us like that. Now, 2017 they did, but, like, the team had given up, in 2017. Like, it is what happened in 2017. I didn't think with an actual, like, with stakes on the line, Vandy would walk into Knoxville and do that.
And this loss is not worse because Tennessee made the playoffs last year, and this game was, and Tennessee already wasn't competing for a playoff spot this year. Because if Tennessee did not make the playoffs last year, and if they were, let's say, 9-2 coming to this game, this loss would have been way worse.
Oh, 100%. If we had a playoff on the line. Because, I kind of told myself going into this game, you beat Florida, so if we lose to Vandy, okay. But, if we had lost a close game to Vandy, that would have been the case. I didn't think they were going to come in and blow us out. And shout out to Vandy. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to work out for them necessarily. And we'll go for the playoffs later. But I do think Diego Pavia should be in New York. for the Heisman ceremony. He might, honestly, he probably should win. I mean, potentially. Now, if Fernando Mendoza goes out and has an amazing game against Ohio State, he'll probably win it. But Pavia deserves to be in New York for the Heisman finalist. And hey, look, I can be annoyed by the crap talk, and I can be annoyed by someone trying to crap talk my own team. But if that guy comes in to Neyland and actually does it, I have to respect it. Like, and it's like someone pointed out, we were like trying to block the power T, prevent them from planting their flag on their field. I think we should have let them. They earned it. They earned every single right because our defense didn't do jack crap to stop them. If Diego Pavia wanted to plant that flag on our power team, they should have let him because we didn't do anything to stop him on the field. Like, we did nothing. The defensive performance for Tennessee in this game and across this season was unacceptable. And now let's go into Tennessee. And I've been thinking about how to approach this because there's a lot of varying opinions across this fan base right now. And the vibes have not been this bad about the football program since 2020. Because losing at home to Vandy like this is something we're not used to seeing. It's bad. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's very bad. Now, I think we have to remind ourselves, this is not Derek Mason Vandy. This is not your typical Vanderbilt. This is a really good Vanderbilt team. And they're just better. And you have to sit back and ask, okay, in year 5 of Josh Heupel, how is it that Vandy is randomly just better than us? And to that, I would say sometimes teams have magical seasons. And they have magical players. And that's what Vanderbilt was this year. And they just clearly wanted this thing more. And, let's talk about Heupel here. There's some in the fan base that want him gone over this. They feel like the program's heading in the wrong direction. They feel like any momentum that we have is gone, which I don't agree with. I don't think that's the case. I think, when you step back and take a look at this whole season, right? This whole year has been weird for this program, right? Like we lost our blue chip 5-star recruit in April, had to bring in a quarterback last second. You lose Jamar McCoy in the offseason. You lose Ricky Gibson in week 1. So you're without your 2 starting cornerbacks. You're without your quarterback. You bring in Joey Aguilar, and basically he has like 15 practices, and then you got to go play football. He has over 3,000 yards passing this year. Overall, like 8-4 is what I predicted preseason, and that is what we got was 8-4. So I can't say this year was a complete and utter failure because I knew this team wasn't going to be as good. And it's just that the last loss I thought would be at Florida and not home against Vandy. But Vandy is basically what I would be.
What did I say when we started the season? I don't want to brag, but again, what was the final record of Tennessee regular season in 2023?
8-4.
What is the final record of regular season of Tennessee 2025?
8-3. All right, 8-4. Excuse me.
8-4. I told you the season was going to be like just like 2023.
Yeah, and we lost to every good team we played because we were 0-4 against the ranked teams, and we were 8-0 against all the unranked teams. So we didn't lose to anyone we shouldn't have, but we didn't win any of the good games, right? Like we should have beaten Georgia. Like we had a field goal to beat them at the end and just blew it. Oklahoma completely self-imploded, and then Bama and Vandy just ran us. So I think on one hand, the season doesn't feel great, but we still won 8 games. And we've been there where we lost 4 when we've only won 4 or 5 games in a year. So on one hand, you at least know that the floor is higher, which I think that counts for something. And that shows just how much Josh Heupel has stabilized the program. But I think there are increasing questions about just how high can Tennessee actually go. Because you see every program has injuries, has things happen to them. And you see how Georgia, they deal with rest and stuff, and they're able to still win. They're in the SEC title game again. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama is in the SEC title game in his second year. We're sitting here in year 5 under Heupel, and we just got blown up by Vanderbilt at home. So I understand there is a lot of justified anger on the fan base. And I think a lot of this, too, comes back to the fact that things are getting more expensive at Tennessee, right? When you look at the talent fee that goes into every Tennessee ticket, or just how the average fan is getting priced out. I think it's reasonable to say that the in-game atmosphere at Neyland this year went downhill a little bit, because it seemed like when you look at those lower level rich seats, they were all empty. Constantly, because normal fans can't afford that. They can't afford it. So I think there's a lot of frustration towards Danny White, towards the administration, because with the resurgence of Tennessee football has come extra demands, and in this NIL era, we need to be able to get as much money as we can. And I think when fans are willing to put up with all that, as long as the team is winning, but as soon as you lose to Vanderbilt, you're seeing a lot of those frustrations come out. And I do think that perhaps the school has gone a little too far in that direction. I do think they need to find a way to make the product again a bit more affordable for the average fan. If you're gonna have seasons like this, because I think there's a lot of fans who, in their view, who basically think if you're gonna charge this, a 10% talent fee and put in an entertainment district and do all these different things while losing Tony Vitello to the MLB, and I still don't think that's Danny White's fault. But there are some people who still blame Danny White for that. Those are where I think a lot of the frustrations are coming from. And when you see losses to teams like Vandy, that's where it starts to go all over. And you have people now online who seem to think oh, I don't think Heupel can do this anymore. I think Heupel has peaked. I think he has fallen off. Now, I will say this to all the people who want Josh Heupel replaced. Who are you replacing him with? Seriously, who do you think right now will come in and be Kirby Smart? Because I think Josh Heupel is comparable to Mark Richt. I really think he's basically Mark Richt level. He's stabilized, he's elevated Tennessee. But who are you replacing him with? Who is Kirby Smart in this equation? I don't know who that guy is. I don't want to just fire him for the sake of firing him, because that's what Tennessee did for 15 years, was fire coaches for the sake of firing coaches. And I think this year is not overall a terrible coaching job by Josh Heupel. With everything that happened, he literally brought in a quarterback off the street, basically, and had him throw for over 3,000 yards, and had to deal with injuries left and right and just kind of chaos around the program. Now, you can say, well, maybe Josh Heupel should run a better organization, perhaps, to avoid that chaos. And perhaps I agree. I think we need to reevaluate who we're bringing into the program. The whole Nico situation. Yes, high-end talent, but, with the family situation, ended up costing us. When you look at Boo Carter, yes, high-end talent, but, there are character concerns. And the character concerns, unfortunately, won out there. And it just really, if you look at the amount of this team is penalized, I do think there is a little bit of a discipline issue with Heupel. I really think that he's not the most intense coach in the world, right? He's not constantly yelling and having meltdowns on the sideline, and I do really appreciate that about him. But I almost wonder if maybe he should be, maybe he should change his approach a little bit, because I think that with the way he operates now, we'll float around 8 to 10 wins and sometimes make the playoffs. But I just don't know if he can truly get us to that next step. But that doesn't mean you should get rid of him now, because you should not move on from him until you have a guy that you think can actually move on and elevate you. And I don't think that guy is out there right now. So I think right now would be a really stupid time, especially when you've got a 5-star quarterback in Vision Brandon coming in, you've got Tristan Keys coming in, and I know Saturday sucked, but well, they'll be back. We've had rough days before, like 2022 in South Carolina or 24 in Arkansas, and this program's always bounced back from those losses. And I really wish we'd find ways to get those days out of the way. But even like the Bower this year, right, at Alabama, he's in Atlanta this week. They lost to Florida State, who's terrible. In college football, with the NIL and teams getting a little bit closer together, you're going to have nights like this, especially when a guy like Diego Pavia is on fire. Now, I will say this. I do wonder if it's time to move on from Tim Banks.
Yeah, I think coordinator change maybe, especially the way his side of the ball was exposed on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, and the defense was bad all year. Now, he didn't deal with injuries, absolutely, all season. But it wasn't even the corners that were even the problem here. These linebackers were terrible this year. Like, they could not stop anybody from running the football. Could not stop them from running the football. I thought the D-line was a little disappointing throughout the season. I think there's some position coaches that need to be changed. Linebacker, like William Inge, not impressed with his output this year. Not impressed with the secondary's output this year. On the offense, honestly, I'm not really impressed with the offensive line this year. The running game took a step back. And we don't have a Dylan Sampson back there anymore. But there were times this year where the running game completely disappeared. We had, I think, 8 yards rushing in the second half of this game. You look back at the Oklahoma game, could not run the football. And they put the game in Joey Aguilar's hands, and Joey needed the running game to support himself because Joey is not good enough to win games on his own. Which I think, it goes to show that, while I love Joey and I'm very appreciative of what he has done for Tennessee this year, I would rather have a different quarterback next year because we have seen what he is. He can't elevate you to a win on his own. And I think that I would rather try to maybe roll the dice on someone else and see if they can do that. One guy I said that I really want is Jaron Kiwe Sagapatule from California. Just led his team to an upset win over SMU. I don't know if he would be willing to leave Cal, but if he's on the market, I would love that guy in Knoxville. As I said, I still think Tennessee is in a very competitive spot. We have a really good recruiting class coming in. I think we will go in and be aggressive in the portal this year. We have to be aggressive in the portal this year. There needs to be signs of actual changes this offseason. If we sit back and do nothing, that's when I'll become concerned about Heupel in Tennessee. Because next year the schedule does get harder. It does get a lot harder. We play Texas, and Kiffin with LSU comes in, and that's going to be an insane atmosphere. Got to go to A&M. Got to go to Carolina. We don't have to play Georgia, so that's a plus. We also host Auburn with Alex Golish, who knows our offense. So I am not out on Heupel at all. I'm still 100% behind him. Now there's a question of if he's 100% behind us, because there were rumors floating online yesterday, especially that apparently him and Penn State may or may not be talking. There was one flight from Knoxville to State College yesterday. Now I believe it was confirmed that it was not him who was on that flight. And there's been no actual legit smoke about Heupel and Penn State. But one, if Penn State were to offer Heupel, would it even make sense for him to take that?
Yes, it would, unfortunately. He fits more the personality of a Big Ten coach than an SEC coach.
Really? I don't know. I think he
and maybe he can feel a little bit underappreciated. I don't know. I don't have any connections with him. I only saw him personally a couple of times on practice. But And I wouldn't be surprised, especially if Penn State throws a lot of money like LSU did to Ole Miss, and Penn State can say, "Oh, we are a competitive football team that, with the right coach can make even deeper than James Franklin did."
Yeah, but okay, obviously I love Hype. Would he do better at Penn State than James Franklin? I think he would help fix the offense at Penn State. But, the whole criticism of James Franklin is that he couldn't win big games. And Josh Heupel has won some big games at Tennessee. He's beaten Alabama more than Kirby Smart has. But I just don't know if that would really, if you're Penn State, from your perspective, you fire James Franklin, a guy who has you in the top 5, top 10 basically every year. And when you made that decision, I was like, okay, we got to go out and get an elite name. And I think for Penn State, I think they're realizing there's not really anyone out there that we can truly get.
Yeah. The market is not. You either settle or reach.
Yeah.
Like LSU reached for Lane Kiffin. Florida settled for, and Arkansas settled for Ryan Silverfield. Florida settled, and you put on the liner for Tulane's head coach. But Auburn is in the middle. I don't think they reach for Alex Golesh, but they didn't settle.
Yeah. Now, the next part of this I want to address too. The people who want Josh Heupel to leave Tennessee for Penn State, you do not know what you are asking for. Do you realize what that potentially could do to our program? You want the best coach we have had in 25 years to just leave. You want him gone over one game lost, right, to Vandy. Here's the truth of the matter. I don't know who we would get if Heupel were to leave Tennessee for Penn State. My first thought is, well, there's that one guy who's unemployed right now who comes up every time we have a coaching search, John Gruden. But would that even make any sense at this point? He's older, he's never been a head coach in college football. Yeah, you can get him a GM now, but I just don't particularly think that would make sense. Then you look at around the landscape, and I'm like, okay, honestly, my next thought, we were talking about him earlier. I think Dan Mullen, give him a really good GM. I would be happy with that. I think that would be.
I have some breaking news.
What?
In college football.
What happened?
It's not as important, but date and venue set for the college football Brazil game between NC State and Virginia. It's going to be August 29, 2026 in Rio de Janeiro, but not Maracanã, in Newton Santos Stadium, home of Botafogo.
Ooh.
So that will be the place. I've been to the stadium once in 2021. It's a nice stadium. It's artificial turf, but it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. Let's see what is going to be my next year for me in terms of professional wise. But I'm definitely going to try to go because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Sorry to interrupt you, but literally just break this news right now.
Yeah. So I was saying that Dan Mullen with a GM would be an interesting option. I don't even know who else I would want. Let me just put it like this. I don't want this to happen. This would not be.
No, I don't want it either, because if you think about it, when Tennessee, the last two times Tennessee had to go to something like that, the in 2017 was traumatic, and 2020 don't even get me started.
Right.
So
at least in 2020 we ended up with a good coach.
Yeah.
This would be more comparable to Kiffin leaving the USC. And the difference too is we've seen that Heupel be successful here. We've seen him lead us to the playoffs. We've seen him lead us to an Orange Bowl win. We've seen him beat Alabama twice. And I get it that I want Tennessee to be great every single year. But you look at us historically. I saw Tennessee in the 90s. We think of Tennessee as a high-end elite blue blood program. Okay. So if you ask the average Tennessee fan, they think that Tennessee should be up there with Ohio State, Alabama, in terms of being amazing every year. Okay. So in the 1990s are the best decade in Tennessee football history. Okay. Let me read out the records of the 1990s. All right. 9-2. Remember, we still had ties early on. So 9-2, 9-3, 9-3, 9-2-1, 8-4, 11-1, 10-2, 11-2, 13-0, 9-3, 8-4, 11-2. So there were a lot of 8 and 9-win seasons in there, along with we had a 4-year run between 95 and 98. 3 of those years you had Peyton, and then you had the year after Peyton where they won the Natty. Outside of that, Tennessee, when they're good, was averaging 8-9 wins a year. Outside of having literally the best player in school history, and then a national title team that was great. But let's be real, they got lucky sometimes. They had the Stoner stumble. They had to have Florida miss a field goal in overtime. They had to hit a field goal at Syracuse. Florida had the best player out in the 98 national title game. They only beat Miss State by 10 in the SEC title game. That Tennessee team was not elite. They were able to be opportunistic and find ways to win. Tennessee, the cruel truth of this is Tennessee, when it's good, has a baseline of 8 to 9 wins, and then sometimes will bounce up to have 10, 11, and those are the years where you just hope that you can make things work and go deep.
And Tennessee also had like Florida too, in some extent, good eras of coaches. Johnny Robert Nealon and Johnny Majors, Philip Fulmer, and feels like with Heupel, still on the verdict.
Right. But let me read this section now. All right. So this is 1973 to 1984. So 8-4, 7-3-2, 7-5, 6-5, 4-7, 5-5-1, 7-5, 5-6, 8-4, 6-5-1, 9-3, 7-4-1. I don't see a double-digit winning season there in that 10-year stretch. Do you?
No.
That sounds a lot like what we've just been through. And if Josh Heupel leaves, so in the early 70s, we won 3 double-digit games 3 years in a row. Before that, you won double-digit games in 1956, and then 1950, 1951, and then you have 3 years in a row, 1938, 1939, 1940. Tennessee does not have as many double-digit winning seasons as you would think. Gus, we are not let me pull up Alabama in comparison, because this will probably be a lot more different, in terms of their history. So starting from this year going back, they've won 10, 9, 12, 11, 13, 13, 11, 14, 13, 14, 14, 12, 11, 13, 12, 10, 14, 12, 7, 6, 10, 6, 4, 10, 7, 3, 10, 7, 4, 10, 8, 12, 9, 13, 11, 7, 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 5, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10, 12, 11, 11, 9, 11, 11, 11, 10, 11. They've had more double-digit winning seasons since 1972 than not. We are not Alabama. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't aspire to be Alabama. But we have to be realistic here, y'all. 8-4, 9-3, that is the program average for Tennessee. And if we're going to fire a coach for being at a program average every 2 to 3 years, then we are unserious because you're not going to get legitimate coaches to hang around at a place where they have to be extraordinary all the time. And Josh Heupel has proven he is good enough to get us to double-digit winning seasons every other year. And it sucks. It's going to suck on the years where you're not that good. But I have confidence that Josh Heupel is going to, if we keep him around, if he stays here, is going to get us to those high-end wins, to those high-end winning seasons, because he's done it before. He did it last year with a lackluster offense. He did it in 2022 with an incredible offense and a bad defense. Just once. There is a world out there where we combine a great offense with a great defense eventually. There is a world where that happens. And if that happens, that's the year where magic can happen. And Josh Heupel isn't going to be amazing every single year. I don't know if any coach would ever be just amazing every year here. But you're not going to find anyone who's going to do much better than he has. And he has made Tennessee football so much more enjoyable, so much more fun. And Saturday was awful. It truly was terrible. But it's one game against a really good team.
And he's going to find the team back. He did in 2023. And again, he had to endure all that mess in the spring with Nico. That accounts for something. So for all the Tennessee fans, say, what you have is perfect? No. But don't mess up a good thing because it's not perfect. Because look in your neighbors having to deal with traumatic divorces. I'm just making this analogy.
Just think about how you felt when Georgia State beat Tennessee. Just think how you felt. And I know for some people, Saturday is that bad. And I get that.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is not. For some people, it is. For some people, losing to Vandy is as bad as losing to Georgia State, which is just asinine. It's just delusional to think that way, because this Vandy team should be in the playoffs. It isn't losing to a Sun Belt Georgia State team. So don't nuke the entire program over some frustrating losses. Don't do it. It's college football. Teams ebb and flow. And if we keep Josh Heupel, we are going to ebb back. We are going to ebb back. So I still believe in Josh Heupel. I still believe in his capabilities to win at a consistent and a high level here at Tennessee. And if back in April I told you we're going to go 8-4, win at Florida, I think all of you would have taken that. And we just trust the process, man. We're going to be fine. Congratulations to Vandy. You got to beat us some more, though, if you want to quote run the state, though. But they're about to flip a 5-star quarterback, so Vandy's about to be a problem, and hopefully we can figure out something about that RPO. And we may need a new DC. I will say that. We may need a new DC, but I think this result will cause Josh Heupel to make some changes. I really do.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
He's smart enough to do it, and I believe in him. Now, for Penn State, let's say they don't get Heupel, and I don't think they will. But if they do, if they don't, at this point, there's rumors that they're talking to BYU's coach, Kalani Sitake. Of course, BYU is preparing for a conference title game this week of their own. But there's, I think, increasing momentum for them just to make their interim coach Terry Smith the head coach, or also Brian Dable from the New York Giants. He could be a candidate. I don't really know what Penn State should do. It really feels like Penn State made a bad decision with James Franklin. I'm not sure really what they should do.
Yeah, and the longer it takes, the less options you have. So, it's funny that James Franklin got a new gig before Penn State fired his replacement.
Yeah.
Let's go to some actual games.
Yes. Let's do some actual games. I need to clip out that rant I did about Heupel. Anyway, okay, so Ohio State has beaten Michigan. Now, if Ohio State had lost this game, we probably would have talked about this much sooner. But Ohio State finally took care of business, 27-9. For me, like Ryan Day, like any Ohio State fan that wanted him fired over one game. See, and once again, like
He should have done like this. He should have done like where all the noise.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
none.
I don't know if anyone's going to beat Ohio State this year, these playoffs. Like this team, like especially this defense, you realize guys, they've only given up 117 points on the entire season. Like they've only given up like 7 points a game all year. Like
I mean, the first stat's going to be this Saturday in Indianapolis.
Well, I mean, they played Texas and they shut them down, and I think going to Michigan's a test in itself. Like Ohio State just has more talent than everyone.
But I want to see the Indiana matchup if they beat soundly again and makes Indiana a single-digit score, then I'll be like, they're going to run the table again.
Yeah, which is why I say I think if Mendoza goes off and can lead an upset, because if Indiana wins this game, they're the number one seed, which is crazy we live in that world. I think Mendoza would have to be the Heisman winner.
Do you know what's funny? Like, we advocate for so long for the 12-team playoffs and all, but I'm kind of missing the 4-team playoff because how crazy right now, let's get just the AP top 25. So you have Indiana and Ohio State playing for a conference title undefeated. So even whoever loses will be like the 4th seed and the winner will be 1 seed, right?
Right.
So we'll have 2 spots. So if Georgia were to lose to Alabama, do you think they would have swapped places and Alabama would be 3rd? Or let's say if or Oregon would have been in instead of Georgia. How about Texas Tech if they win? It would be ahead of Oregon in Georgia if Georgia loses.
So I think the way it would work, right, is I think both Ohio State and Indiana would both be in no matter what in a 4-team playoff. If Georgia were to lose, I think Texas Tech is winning in.
If they win.
So I think, but here's the thing, like Oregon, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma are all not playing for a championship. Notre Dame's not playing for a championship this week. So I think you would have to seriously consider jumping Alabama all the way up. Because they will have beaten Georgia twice if they beat Georgia again.
But how can you argue a 2-loss team over a 1-loss team? And even worse, if Texas Tech would have won if they would have won their conference, would be number
3. Well, if BYU only has 1 loss too.
Yeah,
there's a 1-loss Big 12 champion no matter what. So can you put 2-loss Alabama in over 1-loss BYU if they beat Texas Tech?
Oh, that's why deep down the 14 playoff it would have been insane this year.
It would have been. And I think this also exposes another problem. Should we still even have conference championships or championship games? Like, how is it truly fair when you have 16, 18-team conferences, everyone can't play each other, so you are having these unbalanced conference schedules? Like, look at Texas A&M. Literally, they don't have a single win over an SEC team with a winning record. They don't. At least not in the conference standings. They played 1 team in the top 8 of the SEC and lost to them in Texas. Meanwhile, you look at like Georgia, Alabama, they had much harder schedules. I mean, heck, even Tennessee, we benefited from getting to play Mississippi State, Kentucky, Florida, and Arkansas. Arguably the 4 worst teams of the conference this year. Like, imagine if Tennessee had Florida's schedule this year. We might have had a losing record. Because if Florida had our schedule, Billy Napier is probably still the head coach in Gainesville.
Yeah.
The schedules are too out of alignment right now. And it's making, like, look at the ACC. Like, Duke's in the title game. And the fact that Duke at 7-5 is playing for a conference title is a joke. It is an absolute joke. And to me, like,
So why Miami is not playing for the title? Because there's still divisions?
Well, okay, there's not divisions. So basically, it comes down to tiebreakers.
Because all Miami losses were ACC losses.
Yeah. So basically,
like
the ACC
what I don't understand. Like for me, number one tiebreaker would be overall schedule, not win over this and that.
Yeah. So basically, what ACC did is, so here's the tiebreaker policy, and I'm going to actually bring this up on the screen.
Hold on, let me open up.
Because this is how we are determining potentially who makes the college football playoff, okay? So this is the ACC. So basically, in a two-team tie, you have head-to-head competition between the two tied teams, 1% against all common opponents, 1% against common opponents based on their order of finish, overall conference winning percentage with ties broken, and proceeding through other common opponents based on their order of finish. Combined win percentage of conference opponents, the tied team of the higher ranking by the team rating score metric provided by Sports Source Analytics, which, who is that? Who is Sports Source Analytics? And why are they helping determine who's in a conference title game? Following the conclusion of regular season games, the participants shall be chosen by a draw as administered by the commissioner and the commissioner's designee. And you can see all this stuff with a free team tie. So that is why. And guess, and I'm going to share this tab instead. Look at this. Virginia's alone at 7-1. You have 5 teams at 6-2. Miami only played Pittsburgh and SMU out of this. It didn't get to play Duke. It didn't get to play Georgia Tech. I mean, how, like, this is insane. Like, easily the best team here is Miami. And they're not getting to play because of Sports Surge Analytics, whatever that is. And also, the same thing's happening in the Mountain West, too, where you had a 4-team tie. The best team in the conference right now is probably New Mexico, and they got left out for a mid-Boise State team because Boise State had a stronger strength of schedule. Well, yeah, well, New Mexico played better in the conference. This is like, with these conferences being so big, not the schedules are too small. Like, how are we supposed to fairly choose conference champions when you have to make your conference championship game and win it to be, quote unquote, the conference champion for the playoff committee? You know, like, it's insane.
100%. For me, the tie break should be who is ahead of the college football playoff schedule. Oh, but we're gonna have to wait until Tuesday to see. So be it.
Yeah, like, the ACC title game should be Miami and Virginia.
Yeah.
It should be Miami and Virginia. Like, Duke being in this game is a joke. And what's crazy for the ACC is if Duke upsets Virginia, we could have 2 G5 teams make the playoffs because both the winner of North Texas and Tulane and I think James Madison, if they beat Troy in the Sun Belt, would be ahead of Duke. And there's a scenario where the ACC is just not in the playoffs at all. And it would be their own fault because of this stupid crap right here.
Like, it will be exposing the conference again.
Yeah. I'm like, why do you think Florida State and Clemson went out so bad? You know, like, I mean, but they're stuck with those grant of rights. The conferences are too big. We need, like, no conference or pot of conference. Divisions were perfect, guys, because you played everyone in your division.
Yeah.
And, like, you never questioned who the best team in that division was. Yeah, or very rarely you questioned who the best team in that division was. And sometimes the divisions were unbalanced, right? The SEC West tended to be better than the SEC East until the very end. But you knew who you were fighting against to make the conference title game. Now it's just a free-for-all because these conferences are so big. It's an insanity. It's absolutely all over the place. And what's crazy, Gus, like Alabama is like the 5th ranked SEC team or the 4th ranked SEC team, and they are the number 1 seed in the SEC. Like it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, and frankly, it makes the playoffs low-key a little bit of a joke because like we're trying to you're trying to evaluate like conference title games and like what they matter and what they mean, but it's a joke. It is an absolute joke, and like this stuff combined with the fact you have coaches ditching programs in the middle of a playoff run or before a playoff run. I mean, like, what is college football right now? Because we love this sport. We all love this sport. And you know what's bad, Gus? We spent more time talking about the off the field antics than we've talked about the actual on field games. And Gus, what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the NBA. And that's not good. Because the NBA has lost a ton of popularity in this country. And at a certain point, if the off-the-field antics continue to outshine what happens on the field, if, like you have confidence to be like, oh, we're going to go and use a random analytical machine to determine who's in our conference title game. And not just use what happens on the field and who's obviously your best team. Like your best team obviously is Miami, and they're not playing in the ACC title game. Like it's becoming a circus. Like you had ESPN more focused. They had Marty Smith standing outside of the Ole Miss locker room the entire freaking weekend. I'm like, dude, let this dude leave Mississippi. Like, what are we doing here? Like he looked like by the end he was like a war correspondent. It's just like, guys,
what are we doing?
Like college football is about the games, it's about the pageantry, it's about rivals. This is rivalry weekend, and we're caring more about freaking Lane Kiffin, what he's gonna decide he's gonna have for dinner. I mean, y'all, and I don't know why this is irritating me, but it feels like that the NFL, when you look at the NFL, it is such a professionally, a well-ran organization. The NFL is always in control of their own narrative. College football is just completely out of control right now. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all as a sport, as an organization, because there are no rules. There is no central authority. The NCAA is completely useless.
The NCAA just throw the towel and be like, okay, guys, do you know what college football feels like? The East Germany and the Soviet Union after the Soviet Union collapses.
I saw Clay Travis made the exact analogy. All that because what he said right now is it's like 1990 Berlin. The wall has fallen. Capitalism is back in vogue in East Germany, and there are no rules at all. And there gonna have to be rules. There has to be regulations. You can't have
and on top of that, like you turn the wall down, but there's still some rules and institutions from the old era in the new era, and they are colliding with themselves.
Yeah, like this is unsustainable, and it's gonna turn people away from the sport because it's just like, wait, you're telling me that you want me to be invested from September to December, but at the end of the year, like, oh, we're gonna have random machines decide who's in the conference title game. Oh, my coach may have to leave because he has to start recruiting for his next school. Like, oh, we're gonna.
But at the end of the day, it's like, college football needs to have a commissioner for their own sport. Because clearly the NCAA really, really cares about is college basketball. I've been telling you for a long time.
Yeah.
Look what they have. When March Madness come, they put their logo all over it. They promote themselves all over it. But you don't see the NCAA that would like they feel like college football a little bit like a burden.
Like college football at this point, like, and they're trying to like fit it into the academic calendar. Like, just stop. Like, we all know that at this point, college football is bigger than any academic institution. Like, you have to spin it off at this point. It has to be its own thing with its own rules. There's too much money. The officiating is too bad. Like, even in the like, I don't even get into officiating. Some of the rough in the passer penalties, some of the reviews, just disgraceful. SEC officiating is disgraceful. It is the worst.
Because no. Nothing tops the Brazilian referees. They are. I mean, I don't know when we're gonna get to Brazilian soccer, but the Corinthians game on Sunday was terrible officiating. But I guess the SEC and the CBF all align in the same problem of officiating. They are not 100% focused on it. They are semi-professionals. They're getting paid by games, but they don't focus. It's a billion entertainment industries relies on decisions on semi-pros or people who do this as a gig, not as a full-time thing.
100%. Like, there's no excuse for why the SEC doesn't have full-time refs. There's no excuse. The whole thing is just back. You have all these it's like warlords. I don't know how familiar you are with Chinese history, Gus, but it's like the free warlords era. The free. I mean, that's basically where it is. That's where we are, the free kingdoms. And it's just warlords to destroying each other. And I don't know how you really fix this outside of getting a commissioner to really fix it. Because we should be talking, this is the post-Thanksgiving show. We should be talking only about the rivalry games and how crazy it was in the playoff rankings.
Like, we are almost a 2-hour mark in our podcast, and we only talk about one game.
Yeah, like, that's not good. This has turned into the NBA. That is not good.
No good.
College football needs reevaluation because this is not sustainable.
And it's so sad because I was all for NIL, original idea of brands of the surrounding college town be like, let me sponsor this kid and he might stay. But it turns into a monstrosity.
Yeah, like this is not what I grew up loving at this point. It's so far removed from it. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's gonna be a chaotic scene.
Yeah, we need some fixing. We need some stuff to absolutely fix the sport. Because it is crazy. But hey, shout out to Ohio State. You did beat Michigan. I think some panic in the Michigan camp from this. I mean, Ohio State's just way better than you right now. Just gotta develop Bryce Underwood more. Like, it's crazy how much Bryce Underwood did not want to throw the ball at all in that game. I was really disappointed in his performance. I thought Michigan could give them more of a game than they did, but shout out to Matt Patricia. That defense is awesome. I just don't see how anyone's beating Ohio State. We did reference Texas still owns Texas A&M, and we talked about
so bad.
Yeah. I mean, and again, A&M, they did beat Notre Dame. If A&M hadn't beaten Notre Dame, I don't think they'd be in the playoffs. Like, that one win will put them in the playoffs because none of their SEC wins are impressive. In fact, let's just say this. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 really good SEC teams. The rest of the conference is not good. And I got to put Tennessee in that category. We're not a very good team this year,
Let's look at the standings. So, from Tennessee is the line between good and bad. Tennessee literally right now is the line. alongside Missouri.
Yeah.
From that bottom, look at literally the standings. Like you have Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Good. Really great to good. LSU, Kentucky, Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Arkansas.
Bad. Very bad.
Like the standings tells it all.
Yeah. Yeah. For A&M, though, like, I don't think they're going to be I don't think they're going to go deep in the playoffs. I'm just not sold on Texas A&M. I haven't been sold on them all year. And definitely not beating this Texas team. Not good. Shout out to Arch Manning, though, because he definitely has improved a lot throughout the year. I just think he did it too late for them to make the playoffs. And I think he should stay in Texas for another year before he goes to the NFL. It would be a mistake for Arch Manning to go to the NFL this year, in my opinion. Because I think next year, if he gets better and better, he could be the high-end draft pick. He just wasn't as amazing quickly as people expected him to be. Also, Alabama has survived the Iron Bowl.
Truly survived. I watched that game, but that sequence in the end, good God, it felt bad for Auburn fans.
Oh, absolutely. Auburn fans just keep on getting screwed by the refs over and over again. But then again, like they fumbled that thing away.
Yeah, literally. That punt return debacle. Jesus
Absolutely.
Christ.
Well, there's a reason why they've got a new coach because they were a well-coached team this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big one for Kalen DeBoer because he has struggled on the road against unranked teams. Surviving Jordan Hare at night is no small accomplishment. So, shout out to Alabama for winning that. Other reactions to games this week. I know we haven't talked a ton about games. I know we brought up Florida State losing, just awful. I don't know what Florida State's doing. I don't think Florida State's a serious football program at this point. I really think, honestly, at this point, Florida State should just no longer be considered a football power. Like, they're an absolute disaster. Nebraska got blown out by Iowa at home. Like, Matt Rule, Nebraska, just an unserious program. They're a completely unserious football program right now. Then they have been for years. Also, I forgot what to put on. Michigan State fired Jonathan Smith and then hired Pat Fitzgerald. That's a good hire, I think. It's kind of wild that they abandoned Jonathan Smith after 2 years, but I think Pat Fitzgerald is an upgrade. So that feels like a situation where they had that guy lined up before they fired.
Yeah.
Before they fired Smith. I think Smith should land somewhere. I think he'll go back to the G5. He was at Oregon State previously. And yeah, obviously Miss State, I feel bad for Miss State. They finished 5-7, missed a bowl game. But I do like that freshman quarterback they have, Kamario Taylor. If they can keep him, I think they will continue to improve. Georgia, obviously, they beat Georgia Tech in a slugfest. I think Georgia, Brent Key, was a guy that came up a lot in coaching searches. Was not impressed with how the end of that season was for Georgia Tech. They were in the top 10 at one point this year, and it completely fell apart for Georgia Tech. Missed the ACC title game.
How about we talked about South Carolina? I mean, to put the nail in the coffin of their bad season, lost to Clemson, and a team that started in the top 10 and ended up in the bottom of the SEC.
Yeah.
That's why next year is a make it or breaker for Beamer.
It is. And I'll be curious to see if they keep Lenore Sellers. Where does he go? Because he has a lot of talent. Like DJ Lagway, he's one of those guys that is someone thinks they can fix him. I'm sure. All right. So I guess now, first and foremost, what do we think the playoff rankings will look like? Who do you think right now are the 12 teams that are in? Because off of my estimation, Gus, and here I'm going to put this. Where is my notes app? Why is it not showing up? But I was going through this yesterday, and see. I'm going to go here. Can I share the Notes app? Let's see. All right. So you can kind of see here preparation. All right. So that's kind of what I think it should look like right now. So I would have Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Georgia 3. I would have Ole Miss at 4 right now at 11-1. Then I would have Oregon 5, A&M 6, Texas Tech 7, Oklahoma 8, Bama 9 because Oklahoma beat Bama head-to-head. Then I would actually have BYU as my last team in over Miami or Notre Dame. Although, for being honest, Miami or Notre Dame will go here. And I think, you do have to ask, from a branding perspective, Notre Dame will probably get the last spot.
So no 3-loss team.
No. You're not going to see any 3-loss team.
So no and Vandy in this equation. I can see Vandy being on top of Virginia.
Well, the problem is Virginia would be the ACC champion.
Oh.
So Virginia has to be in. And then like Tulane, if they win the American Conference, they have to be in.
So I guess the committee Vandy has to root for BYU to lose.
Yeah, so here's your bubble teams, okay? So I think everyone above 8's in no matter what. So you have Alabama, BYU, Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, Miami. So these two play this weekend. I think if BYU loses, they're out. They're not going to get in. BYU has to win. If BYU wins, that takes away a spot. Because I think Texas Tech gets in no matter what. Alabama. Now, here's the question. If they lose to Georgia, does 3-loss Alabama still get in?
No.
But, they're playing an extra game that everyone else doesn't have to play.
No. How many times we see that happening? Punished for losing a conference game. I've seen time and time again.
But I don't think, especially considering that they have beaten Georgia at Athens. I don't think you can punish Bama. I would keep them in.
No.
I would keep Alabama in. You can't punish them.
No. You cannot put a 3-loss team. For me, a 3-loss team would be a mockery. Sorry. Oh, we punished you on one extra game. They shouldn't have lost the 2 games they lost in the regular season.
Yeah,
you cannot put a 3-loss team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think Texas should be in the conversation at all. Now, granted, I know Texas beat them, right?
Yeah, see, then you open up, and then if you open up for Alabama why not put Texas in? They defeated the number 3 team in the country, Texas A&M. They went to Ohio State on the road and lost by 7. So you have to draw a line.
Yeah, this is tough. Because then
that's what I'm saying. Draw a line.
The team that should not be in is Notre Dame. Undeserved. Notre Dame has not beaten anyone here.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I guess I have to put them on the conversation because again, I'm gonna draw the line at 2 losses. That's where I'm gonna draw the line because if you open up, but Alabama loses in 3 losses, then you open up a whole nother portal for 3-loss teams. I give an example, like Texas.
Yeah, and Miami, they beat Notre Dame, but they're not getting to play for their conference title game like they probably should be able to. Now, here's chaos scenario. What if Duke beats Virginia?
Oh my God, that would be chaos.
Because then what happens is, okay, so let's say you eliminate Duke, and let's say Tulane gets in. Who's 12? Is it James Madison at 12-1? Or is it Duke at 8-5? Because remember, that has to be a conference champion. Now, what if James Madison loses to Troy?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. How about that?
I mean, at that point, you would have to put Duke in, probably.
Yeah, because you're not gonna put a 9-4 Troy.
Oh my god, that would be a mockery. You're looking at teams like Vanderbilt that don't get in. Vanderbilt would easily win the ACC. Would probably win the Big 12. And then you're gonna tell me possibly Notre Dame gets in? I mean, this is a disaster, Gus. This shouldn't be possible. But it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just entertain. Let's say Duke wins, JMU loses.
And let's say North Texas beat Tulane. So you have no. How about Tulane?
Bama loses.
What?
Let's say Bama loses.
Yeah.
And then let's say BYU wins.
Oh.
Okay. So at that point, let's just say Ohio State wins. 13-0. And I'll say Georgia probably gets the nod at 12-1.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm probably going to put Indiana at 3 still.
Yeah, 1 loss. Yeah, totally.
I would still say Ole Miss 11-1.
I'll put Oregon 11-1.
Yep. Then Texas A&M still at 11-1.
So you put Ole Miss ahead of Oregon.
Yes, I think Ole Miss should be ahead of Oregon. Personally.
Okay, I'll take that.
I mean, Oregon might be still ahead of Ole Miss, but in my opinion, Ole Miss should be ahead of Oregon. This is where it gets hard. So I would probably say Oklahoma gets to be here at 10-2. Now what? This is where it gets hard. Let's say.
So you say in your scenario, Bama lost.
Bama lost. So let's say BYU has to be up here somewhere, 12-1. Let's say. So I'm saying Texas Tech should still be in at 11-2. Because we all know. I'm just putting a team here, 10-3. Then you have to say North Texas at 12-1, and then Duke at 8-5. So then the question is, what do you do down here? Because BYU, North Texas, and Duke have to be in. So what do you do with those last 2 spots? Because you would have bubble.
So basically, the competition would have been between at this point.
So let's say Texas Tech at 11-2. Alabama at 10-3. You would have Vanderbilt.
So take off Alabama and Texas Tech. Leave number 8 and 9 open for this bubble.
Yes.
Because those are bubble teams.
You have Notre Dame at 10-2. You have Miami at 10-2.
10-2.
You have Vanderbilt at 10-2. And let's just put Texas on there for fun at 9-3.
Yeah, I guess since we put a 3-loss Alabama, put 3-loss Texas.
Okay. So, guys, who are you choosing?
That's why I was so mad that Michigan lost. Because if Michigan would have beat Ohio State, it would have been even more fun.
Yeah. So who do you choose?
I would choose Texas Tech and Vandy. That would be my pick.
Really? That's the thing though. For me, I'm choosing Texas Tech and Alabama. Because the other 4 teams
it's outrageous to put a 3-loss team. It's outrageous. Like you just cannot open this.
Yeah, but if you take out Alabama, you are completely destroying conference championship games, as is.
Yes, I guess this is the new reality. Like you're literally questioning conference championship. Like what? A couple of minutes ago.
Literally, but if we're gonna have them, then you can't diminish their importance.
I'm not diminishing. I'm just saying. I'm not diminishing. I'm just saying you lost that game. You should be punishing to lose. It's simple. Oh, I played an extra game. Oh well, so beat.
Well, we saw last year that SMU was kept in over Alabama because they didn't want to get rid of conference title games. They didn't want to make the punishment for losing them that severe because otherwise, then you'd have teams that would just boycott them. Like for Ohio State and Indiana, what point is there for either one of those teams to play in the Big Ten title game?
I guess that's why I hate you when you open up those exceptions. You ended up having more problems. Like it's like opening a can of worms. Like you try to put a band-aid on something, and then you need to fix another thing. Like,
isn't college football just wonderful right now? Isn't everything
wonderful? I love college.
This is insane. Like, what are we doing here?
College football is like that if you're a man, it's like that girl that you know is trouble, but it's so interesting, and you love her, and you know that gives you headache, but you cannot stay away from because it's so it's so intense and it's so amazing.
Well, I mean that sounds like but never. I'm not even gonna go there, guys. That sounds like yeah, never mind. Any case,
but yeah, I cannot wait for Selection Sunday. This
is crazy. This shouldn't be the case, but it is. Okay, so let's actually kind of decide how is this going to actually play out. So let's pick every single conference title game, Gus.
Sounds good.
We'll start off with the three that don't really have any implications.
Let's start.
CUSA, Kennesaw State at Jacksonville State.
Kennesaw State, even though they're playing on the road.
Yeah, but hey, shout out Kennesaw State though. Second year in FBS, great season for them.
Yeah.
Mountain West, an absolute joke of a title game. UNLV at Boise State. New Mexico should be in this game.
So for justice for New Mexico, UNLV.
Yeah, UNLV. I'll go with that.
And why with the worst record Boise State got to host this game?
It's because they used one of these analytics sites where like, oh, Boise State has the hardest SOS because they played Florida, South Florida, and Notre Dame.
Good God! Oh my! Oh.
New Mexico beat UCLA on the road by 30 or 25.
Yeah. So UNLV do justice.
Hey, but I do want to shout out New Mexico though. They finished 9-3 this year. That's like their best record ever at football. So shout out to them. They're normally a basketball school, but New Mexico is doing some good things over there in Albuquerque. Not just the Breaking Bad town anymore.
Yeah.
Because they rushed to Philadelphia. They beat San Diego State on Friday. The MAC, you've got Miami of Ohio at Western Michigan.
Western Michigan.
Yeah, I'll take Western Michigan as well. Miami had their quarterback ditched them, a month ago.
Yeah.
Once again, another sign that college football is doing absolutely amazing. All right, now here's getting to the games of playoff implications. Troy at James Madison.
As much as I love chaos, give me JMU.
Yeah, I'll go JMU as well in this one. All right, the American Conference, North Texas at number 24 Tulane.
How crazy is that? Like the AAC title game, it's a fun game. Now has truly playoff implications.
Yeah, the winner of this game's in. Like, it is a playoff game.
Give me North Texas on the road.
I'm going North Texas as well.
On the road.
I'm going with the Mean Green. All right, the ACC. Does the ACC avoid disaster? They need Virginia to win this game. Duke, Virginia.
The same argument I made with the Sun Belt, I make the ACC. As much as I love chaos, give me Virginia Cavaliers.
I'm going to be honest. I think Duke's going to win. I really do.
So you want chaos?
I think Manny Diaz and Duke, like we look at Mensa, like they've been highly inconsistent, but when they're good, they're pretty good.
I mean, it's a home game. It's going to be a home, almost a home.
There's
game
going to be
for-
no one at this game, guys. Let's be real. Virginia Duke for football in Charlotte, no one's going to be there. I mean,
Oh, not even Duke fans are going to make the drive. Jesus Christ!
Well, I mean, Virginia, I guess will. I mean, Virginia could be will be in the playoffs if they win. I mean, Virginia will be in. This is the winner get in for the Cavaliers. So biggest game. This is probably the biggest game in Virginia football history. And for Duke, they also it's a potentially their biggest game of football history as well.
But there's gonna be some Duke fans. I mean, it's in their home state. It's a chance to win a conference title and potentially maybe in of the playoff. You know, that's like and Duke fans are passionate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with them to win. I go with Duke to beat Virginia.
I mean, it's only a 2-hour drive. Jesus Christ.
I'm very sour in the ACC, just as a conference.
And I mean, they play head-to-head a couple of weeks ago, and Virginia beat Duke 34-17.
I think this one will be a different game. Okay, the Big 12, BYU, Texas Tech. Texas Tech won this game in the regular season by 20.
Oh, give me the Red Raiders. Give me Texas Tech.
I'm going to go Texas Tech, too. I don't think BYU is that good. I mean, they're really good, but I don't think they're great. Texas Tech legitimately is a dangerous team for these playoffs. All right, the SEC, Bama, Georgia. Kirby Smart finally matched Josh Heupel and wins against Alabama.
I mean, he won, and finally beats Alabama in Atlanta, because the only time Kirby Smart beat Alabama was in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, I'll say this: Bama is they're really injured on offense right now. They're finding ways to win games. It just feels like Georgia's just the better team right now. I think this will be a low-scoring defensive match. I think Georgia is going to find a way to win this game. I picked Bama the first time, and I was right. I just feel like Kirby, Georgia, they're going to find a way to get Bama this time.
And I picked Georgia as well, and Alabama be out of the playoffs again.
So then Big Ten, Indiana, Ohio State, 2v1, undefeated. You know, for IU, you know, let alone just winning this game, how important is it they just compete in this game, you know? Like last year they got blown by Ohio State, and really no one has really hung with Ohio State this year. I also have like Texas. How important is it that just Indiana's in this game?
Really? Yeah. I think, you know, and it's going to be a home game for the Hoosiers. I mean, they're going to show up big for this game.
100%.
I mean, Ohio State fans are going to show up too, but Indiana fans, they're like undefeated for the first time, I guess, ever in football. And the Big Ten title game is in our state.
Yeah, I mean, literally the biggest game in school history.
I'll go Indiana. I'm going to go Indiana.
Until I see someone really challenge Ohio State, I'm just not going to compete. Now, Gus, I'm going to bring back up my notes because I'll show you exactly kind of what I think with my predictions here, what I think happens. So, okay. Based off my predictions. I'm going to go back off your predictions too. So I've got Ohio State 1. Let's see, I'm just going to copy all of this because I think I would actually have to go back in. All right, so I had Texas Tech below A&M. I think actually with a conference title, I would flip Tech and put them over.
Oh, yeah, totally fair.
Texas A&M. And there's an argument, too, that Tech should be above Oregon. But I think this would be the most fair way to do it. And I think Oregon would be ahead of, like, Ole Miss. But this is how it would look, in my opinion. Close to. Now, here's where it gets tough. So we got all of our bubble teams down here, right? So I'm just going to do this. So for this. So we know that North Texas would have to be in a 12-1. So you would have James Madison or Duke at 8-5. So you have Bama at 10-3. You have BYU at 11-2. You got Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, and Texas. For me, the way I would do this is at 9. I personally would put in. This is tough right here.
I know, right?
I think you have. I think you got to choose Miami because of the one they have over Notre Dame. And I would choose Alabama because I don't think you can punish them for that SEC title loss. And I guess I'm punishing BYU by consequence, but BYU does not have the wins that Alabama does. And in my opinion, I will leave out Notre Dame. I will leave out Vanderbilt because they just don't have the wins. BYU doesn't have the wins. Notre Dame should have beaten Miami, and they don't have the wins. And Texas has that loss to Florida. And then between these two, you got to choose James Madison. So I would have James Madison at Oregon, North Texas at Texas Tech.
What a game for the state of Texas.
Alabama at Texas A&M, who didn't play this year. And the Kyle Field would be going nuts for that one. And I would have Miami at Oklahoma. And keep in mind that Miami wouldn't even be the ACC title champion, and they would be in. That's how I would do it. Realistically, they're probably going Notre Dame here. Realistically, which is an absolute shame, but that's how I would do it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, where's Virginia? Oh, yeah, but you picked Duke. But in my scenario, if I pick Virginia, it's a completely different ball game.
So let's choose yours. So you have Indiana winning.
Yeah, I have Indiana 1. Go down the notes a little bit.
Yeah, try to get down further here because I'm just typing it out. So you picked, who did you pick for the SC title?
Georgia.
Okay, so we're going to go Georgia 12-1. And I think
then Ohio State
would fall here to 12-1.
I'll go Oregon at 4 in mine. Ole Miss at 5.
Pick Texas.
Texas Tech at 6. And Texas A&M at 7. Oklahoma 8. Like right. Those 8 teams are going to be in.
Yes. So now it's where I trust. So I'm just going to put in this now. So your other 2 conference champions that you picked are Virginia. You picked Virginia, North Texas, James Madison. So,
yeah.
So I'm guessing at 11, Virginia. Right? Because they're not going to be ranked above 9 or 10. So like Virginia at like 11-2. 12 would be North Texas at 12-1. And James Madison gets left out. So Gus, who are your final 2 teams?
Miami 9, Vanderbilt 10. I would definitely punish Alabama for losing the conference title. And don't get me even started on Notre Dame.
And what's going to suck is Notre Dame's going to be in, even though neither one of us think they deserve to be in because they don't play in the conference.
Yeah.
Gus. No, and your games, Gus, would be North Texas at Ole Miss, Virginia at Texas Tech, Vanderbilt at Texas A&M, and Miami at Oklahoma. So we'll see what the committee does, because the committee, I am sure, is going to infuriate both of us.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost a guarantee that they're going to.
Yeah.
Just unreal. Because I do need to step out for just a second. I'll be right back as we get ready to
NFL.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're ready, but quick Gus, just kind of while I step away for a second, who do you think should win the Heisman?
In terms of the Heisman Trophy, of course, I think Diego Pavia should be in the conversation. Mendoza should be in the conversation. I think there's no front runner for a Heisman Trophy. I think it's going to be an interesting pick. I would say we also had Julian Saint as well, who had a great season for Ohio State, kind of being left out of the radar. I mean, the three quarterbacks are going to be the players to watch. Fernando Mendoza in Indiana, Julian Saint at Ohio State, and Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt. I mean, two players who are kind of like the dark horses are Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State and Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. So I guess in terms of the Heisman, you got to go quarterbacks are going to be the top picks, but you have the running backs, Jeremiah running backs also kind of, the running back Jeremiah and the wide receiver Jeremiah kind of like a dark horses.
Yeah, to me, I think whichever quarterback wins the Big Ten title game, especially if Mendoza can lead Indiana over Ohio State, it would be really hard to not give him the trophy. Now, Pavia has made his case. The problem for Pavia is he doesn't get to play this week.
I think it's going to be, for me, the Heisman Trophy is going to be whoever wins the Big Ten game quarterback, the second one, Pavia third.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think the SEC title game won't have much of an effect on it.
Yeah, the Big Ten title game will decide the Heisman too. Because for Indiana to win, you would need a spectacular performance by Mendoza. Then you would make his case. But if Ohio State would have won, then the Mendoza performance would have been average to bad, and then you just award the winner and give the trophy.
So, what if it's a shootout and Mendoza's amazing? Let's say they lose 42-38. Then what?
But you would have to have an amazing performance with no interceptions, and all the turnovers would have to be on downs or punts.
Yeah.
That's the only scenario I see. He needed to have a great game, and the turnovers would need to be on downs, or maybe the running back gave the ball away. If he has one or two interceptions, then no.
Absolutely. And I think we've talked plenty enough about our college football, is the amount of chaos. So we've talked about, but we've gone over 2 hours. This might be the longest we have gone on a single topic.
Yeah.
This is the situation inside college football right now is unprecedented, and I think we're at a crossroads. And I hope the powers that be choose wisely. Now, on much shorter, just real quick before we go to NFL, basketballs are going to Syracuse tomorrow, Illinois, and Nashville. Some big games this week. I'll be curious to see how they respond after last week, which big win over Houston, lost to Kansas during our last podcast episode. I think Tennessee, to me, I think they'll beat Syracuse. They're just a better team than Syracuse is. Illinois is going to be a very interesting game. Remember, last year they won in the buzzer beater up in Champaign, and we beat them in Knoxville 2 years ago. So if we can go 2-0 this week, that would be fantastic. We just got to hope that we don't have the pattern of scoring droughts. I think against Kansas, we got one. I think we just got really tired. 3 games in 3 days. A really physical game against Houston on the second day. I trust with Barnes. The team will be fine. And I'm really excited to see what they do. I am starting to get concerned, Gus, though, about the Lady Vols. They got blown out yesterday by UCLA. They are not as good as I thought they were going to be this year. So hopefully Kim Caldwell and staff can figure it out. And there's some parts of the Tennessee fan base who are irritated because they're still under the impression that Danny White chose the women's basketball over baseball, which is ridiculous. That didn't happen. But people are going to use that against them anyway. So hopefully they can get it figured out. All right, Gus, let's get into some NFL here. More competently ran football league compared to college football. All right. Thanksgiving was a wild day of football. The Lions once again were owned by the Green Bay Packers on Thursday. Jordan Love he whenever it's Thanksgiving Day in Detroit, he shows up and he plays very, very well. And also, I want to say this too: Dan Campbell is starting to lose me. Like the constant going forward on fourth downs is out of control.
I guess losing the OC really knocked him down.
Oh yeah, and that OC now is on top of the NFC at Chicago. There's a situation. It was early fourth quarter, Gus. It's like 4th and 5 from the 20, and Detroit could have kicked a field goal to make it a 7-point game, and they just decided not to. And then, the play calling, they were just constantly running up the middle, right into the teeth of the Green Bay defense. I don't know what Detroit was doing in this game. I don't know what Dan Campbell was doing. And it was just really bad coaching from Detroit that cost them this football game.
100%.
So, yeah, if Campbell doesn't improve, man, they aren't ever going to win anything in Detroit. Also, the Cowboys. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. They are way better than I thought they would be this year, especially on offense. Like Dak Prescott, showing up the haters.
Yeah, and how about the winning streak? The 3-game winning streak. I know the first game was against the Raiders, but was on the road, but beat the 2 teams that made the Super Bowl last year. I mean, watch for this Cowboys.
They got the Lions this week, and if the Cowboys can beat them, then watch out. They're going to be making some playoff noise. And for the Chiefs,
because right now Dallas is 6-5. They're 9th place in the overall NFC. But as you point out perfectly, they play the Lions. So that is a semi-playoff game because if Dallas wins, then it's 7-5, and Lions are 7-6.
Yeah. And if you look at the Chiefs, they're 6-6 now. They've got the Texans this week, which the Texans just went into Indy yesterday and beat them. The Texans are really good, especially on defense.
And the same situation as the Cowboys. The Chiefs is a must-win game because if they lose, then it'll be 6-7, and the Texans will be 8-5.
Yeah. So the Chiefs have to win. They're going to have to win out. Now, to be fair, the Chiefs do have the Titans in 2 weeks, so they'll get a free win there. But outside of that,
Yeah, but the Texans game is more like about standings because the direct competition, Lions and Cowboys.
Yeah. So
and how about the?
I just don't think the Chiefs are good enough this year. The supporting cast around Patrick Mahomes is not good enough.
They finally got a case of a Super Bowl hangover. Finally.
Yeah. And I think our Chiefs dynasty is finally coming to an end here.
Or maybe they're going to come back. It can be a hangover. Next year will be better. I won't say the dynasty's dead. It's just they're going through a hangover.
Mm. They're late 2000s New England, and they recovered from that.
Yeah. It took 10 years, but 10 years and losing 2 Super Bowls to Eli Manning's Giants, but they finally got over it.
Yeah.
In the Patriots case. Let's see what, is going to be for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And speaking of the team they lost to last year, man, Philadelphia fans were furious on Friday. They were booing their team the entire second half against Chicago. I'm just sitting here like, dude, like these guys are 8-3. They just won the Super Bowl. And these are the most jerk fans on the planet. Like, they're terrible.
I mean, they are the best team in the NFC. They're still on top of the NFC.
Like, man, it was like, if I was an Eagles player, I'd be so discouraged.
But remember last year, the Eagles had trouble with the fans as well. Don't you remember the head coach and the fans yelling at each other?
Yeah. And they went on to win the Super Bowl. You know, like,
yeah. So
I mean, Philadelphia fans are just insane. Like,
they're insane. They're the most insane of all fan bases in pro sports.
yeah, and I get they demand excellence, but sometimes you got to sit back and be like, "Hey, we're 8-4. Things are going to be okay." And I like the Eagles are going to be okay. Like the Bears the Bears are really good.
Yeah, again, they didn't lose to the Raiders, to the Titans. They lost to the Chicago Bears, the team in top of the really hard division NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, just
and you
calm down a little bit.
And you forgot a game on Thursday night that no one see it coming. No one.
Yeah, freaking Burrow came back, and the Cincinnati Bengals just destroyed the Ravens. And the AFC North is just a disaster, guys. Like, this is a terrible division. Like, the Bengals are 4-8, and they still have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, it's a completely chaos. I mean, they're going to be the worst division winner this year.
And I just want to say this. It's time for Mike Tomlin to go. It is time. It's been time in Pittsburgh.
I mean, they're 6-6 right now. So
they could have a winning season. But like in the NFL, the last time I checked, the goal is to win Super Bowls.
Not for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I mean, they have 4 games. They have 5 games left. So they're either gonna be a winning season or a losing season.
And I know there might be some listener be like, okay, but Nick, didn't you just defend Josh Heupel for not being like national title contending? That's different. College football is different than the NFL.
And again, the Steelers are on the top shelf of the NFL. I mean, they're a team who used to, dominate the 70s, won titles in the 90s and the 2000s.
Right. And they can't figure out a quarterback. They keep on bringing out the quarterbacks from the nursing home. Like, they can't draft one.
No, I mean, the quarterback situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last few years are just, completely joke. Like, first, now you have a quarterback that is a semi-retired, and then you try to bring 2 washed-up quarterbacks. None of those work. And then you try to draft one from your hometown university. Doesn't work. I mean, I don't see any team trying to find solutions like that.
Yeah. I mean, literally the fans were booing during Renegade yesterday in Pittsburgh, during like their song. The dun 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 dun, and like they were just booing them. Like, if you're Pittsburgh, like, I mean, you gotta do something. I don't care if you win a division. Like, you need to do something because you're just.
But they're gonna have a winning record, win the division, and Mike Tomlin's gonna continue running the show. Like, you just know that.
Like, yeah, you can win a mid division. You'll probably be the 7th seed more often than not, but you're not going to be a serious contender. Like, you're just in purgatory.
But
you're just gonna move
the Steelers organization just showed time and time again they're fine with that standard. They time and time again with actions showed these are our standards now.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good in Pittsburgh, and I don't care if they win the division. It's time to move on. It's in time. Also, so I would talk about the Texans. The Colts are on a 2-game losing streak now, coming down to earth just a little bit. I think Daniel Jones is not playing as well, and when Jonathan Taylor isn't lighting the world on fire, they're just not the world beating. And I said last week that I thought this game was dangerous against Houston. That Houston's defense is excellent. They're probably the best defense in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 3 out of the last 4 games. The only one was at home against a terrible Falcons team. So,
they're coming down to earth a little bit. I still think they're a playoff team, but
and look at the and look in the beginning of the season, the 3 and then the 4-game winning streak. The only win that was, 2 wins that were, good wins were at home against the Broncos and
they beat the Chargers.
Chargers on the road. Those are the 2 wins that all count. The rest were just gimme wins.
Yeah. Also, not to forget them, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are on top of the division now, 8-4. So,
yeah, and they had a good performance against your cursed Tennessee Titans, who still have won a home game.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. What surprised me, and I think made me the most upset yesterday, is that on Sunday Night Football, Treylon Burks, who now is with the Washington Commanders, had the catch of the year for a touchdown. Treylon Burks, this dude hasn't scored a touchdown since 2022 when he was a rookie. He goes to another team and then makes an Odell catch. Like, I'm seriously just thinking about being done with this franchise, man. Like, clearly, they are cursed. Like, and it's like you should know, like yesterday, but the one good drive they had, like they get down into the red zone and it's 4th and 3. And I'm like, okay, you're 1-10. Like, who cares? Like, go for it. Like, throw conventional football wisdom out the window. Just try to go out there and make stuff happen. And they didn't. They kicked a field goal and they didn't threaten for the rest of the day. Cam Ward got sacked a ton again because their offensive line is garbage. The wide receivers are garbage. The defense is garbage. The whole organization is garbage. Our owner is garbage. Like, there's no hope for the Tennessee Titans, truthfully speaking. And I don't know why I'm continuing to remain a fan of the franchise at this point. And it looks like we've lost Gus there momentarily. Hopefully he gets back here. But, I mean, seriously, Titans, Amy Adams drunk. What reason do I have to remain a fan of your team? Do any of us have to remain a fan of your team? This isn't like the Vols. Like, I've spent 4 years in Knoxville in the halls of UT, in that band, marching that field. I've never abandoned the University of Tennessee. What reason do I have to remain loyal to you? A team an organization that has constantly forsaken its fans. Like, what reason do I have to remain a Tennessee Titans fan?
It's a question I don't have an answer to. I'm sorry, because my team, it sucks too, even though they got another win this weekend. Yay!
At least the Jets have been at least semi-competitive in some games like this.
I mean, talk about the Buccaneers. Oh,
yeah. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons too. Like, I don't know why people even remain a fan of them.
I mean, the Southeast in terms of pro football, bad.
Hey, but shout out to the Carolina Panthers though. They've turned it around. They're a pretty good football team this year. What a win over Los Angeles yesterday. The Rams. That was a thrilling win. And I don't know if you heard that crowd, Gus, on TV. Like, Charlotte was roaring yesterday. Like, they're back in.
And that the NFC South is up for grabs. I mean, I thought Tampa Bay was going to smooth sail through that. No.
Yeah, Carolina is on their heels now, so it's going to be a fun one the rest of the year. Also, one more, the Minnesota started this quarterback named Mac Brosmer yesterday because J.J. McCarthy was out. That might have been the worst debut for a quarterback I have ever seen, outside of maybe Nathan Peterman. Like, Max Brosmer should not get to play another game in the NFL. That was so bad. Literally the worst performance I've ever seen in that 26-0 loss to Seattle, which is hilarious for Minnesota because they told Sam Darnold to hit the road. And Sam Darnold's on a 9-3 team, and Minnesota sucks because they wanted to do that. So anyway, let's pick some games, Gus. On Thursday, of course, tonight we still have Giants Patriots. I think we both picked Patriots in the last episode. So on Thursday, we've got the Cowboys at the Lions.
And for Monday, I don't know. I guess there's no Monday Night Football this weekend.
No. They're well, I mean, it's Patriots Giants tonight. We both
we both Yeah, that's true.
All right, but for this upcoming week, Cowboys at Lions.
Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
I'm actually going to take the Lions. I think they recover. Okay. So next game we have the Titans 1-11 at Shador-led Cleveland Browns 3-9.
Jesus Christ! I mean, tickets are $11. I mean, they should be given up for like. Are you passing from the stadium? Here's a ticket. Go.
I wouldn't take the ticket. I was like, yeah, can you give me that ticket to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next door?
Really?
I'd rather go see that.
Well, give me the Browns.
Yeah, Shador gets his second win. Seahawks at the Falcons.
Seahawks.
Bengals at the Bills.
Bills, but I'll bet the under. It's going to be a close game.
You know what? I'm going with the upset. Give me the Bengals. Commanders at the Vikings.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Commanders.
Look, the game last night with the Commanders and Broncos was insane. I mean, a heartbreaking loss for the Commanders at the Horn at the 2-point conversion. But hey, Washington has not given up.
Denver in those close games have really nailed it.
Yeah. But you also have to question, why are they in a tie game for a free win team?
Yeah.
So, all right. 5-7 Miami at 3-9 New York Jets. Yeah, I'll take the Jets too. I don't know how Mike McDaniel still has his job. The 2-10 Saints at the 7-5 Bucks.
Buccaneers.
I'll go with the Bucks as well. Big one here: 8-4 Colts at 8-4 Jags.
Colts.
I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. Going with the Jaguars. All right, 6-6 Steelers at 6-6 Ravens.
Ravens.
I'll take the Ravens. 10-2 Broncos at the 2-10 Raiders.
Broncos, no doubt about it.
Take the Broncos. Now, here's the one I'm most excited for. 9-3 Chicago going to Lambeau. 8-3 and 1 Green Bay. We'll find out just how good Chicago actually is here. Can they win in Green Bay?
And if they win this game, for me, they lock the division. Give me the Bears to upset.
I'm going to take the Packers at home. But this is going to be a great game. 9-3 Rams at 3-9 Cards.
Rams.
I'll take the Rams. Sunday night, 7-5 Houston, 6-6 Kansas City. Huge.
That was a good pick. That was a good pick for Sunday Night Football because this game has a lot of implications for playoffs. Give me Texans.
I'll take the Chiefs at home. Monday night. This is a good Monday night game. 8-4 Philadelphia, 8-4 Los Angeles Chargers.
And the Philly fans are going to show up. Give me Eagles.
I'll take the Eagles as well. All right, guys. I'll skip that last topic. So Flamengo has done it. They have not.
Yeah. For the fourth time in their history, Flamengo wins the Libertadores. The game was terrible, to be honest. Like I was broadcasting the game here at my YouTube channel, Gus na Área, with my dad, by the way. That was a good broadcast with my dad. But the game itself was terrible. But Palmeiras was even worse. Palmeiras had no shots on goal. Like all the Palmeiras shots were outside, and they didn't create any trouble. And Flamengo was more surgical. The goal itself was a really good play design. But for me, the big criticism goes to Abel Ferreira, Palmeiras head coach. He took long to change players, and then when he did, he made a big mistake because he swapped Allen. Do you remember, like last fall, we talked about Allen and young promise, even Jason mentioned it. He was playing well on offense, like creating plays. But on defense, he didn't properly help mark the player who scored a goal. And then almost immediately, Abel sacked him, which for me was a little bit unfair. Like, because he was playing good on what he should be in the offense. He made maybe a mistake on defense, but it's not his, the style of play. Like, so for me, Abel Ferreira, definitely this season was not a good season for him. A lot of Palmeiras fans want him fired or even to go. I understand. Like, if I was Abel Ferreira, I would say, okay, I had a good run. I had great 5 years, but it's time for me to go. Probably he will have a job opening in Europe. go back in maybe Portugal with his family, because I think Palmeiras fans love him, but they're tired of him, because I saw a lot of Palmeiras fans mad at him. I'm not saying he's a terrible coach. He's an amazing coach. I mean, he's the best coach of this decade in Brazilian soccer, no doubt about it. But I think there's sometimes you just know it's time to, part ways, even to preserve his name. Maybe he'll come back 1, 2, 3 years and then do a great job again. But Flamengo, best team in South America. They're going to win the Brazilian championship as well. Maybe even without playing, because if Palmeiras tie or loses to Atlético Mineiro on Wednesday, then Flamengo is a champion. But if Palmeiras somehow wins, then they're going to win against Ceará and then confirm on the field. And they won everything, almost everything this year. Only the Brazilian Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup they didn't win. But, the Brazilian Cup, they were focused in other competition. And the FIFA Club World Cup, they faced Bayern Munich, which was one of the best teams in the world. So everything else they won. Felipe Luis, definitely the manager of the year in South America, maybe a top 10 head coach in the world. I told yesterday on the radio show that I go, he might go to Brazil national team if Ancelotti wins the World Cup and say, I'm done. That I came here for that, and go back to Europe. Or he goes to Atletico Madrid, because he played for many, many years there. He has a sense of belonging there. The fans love him. And Diego Simeone might be close to retired. He's been there for 10 plus years. So he'll be like a natural substitute, a player who, has spent a lot of years and then succeeds as a head coach. I mean, we see this time and time again in college football. So,
hey, when you sweep, you sweep. And I think for Palmeiras, right? Like, they still have the most resources. They'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back. They'll be back. It's just, in my opinion, I think Abel Ferreira, it's time to part ways. Not because he doesn't do a good job. It's just he and Palmeiras need to find other ways. But I think Leila is going to keep him because she loves him. So, Brazilian Championship, the title practically done. Libertadores spots. There might be an opening 8th seed. The 8th place might go to the qualifying stage of Libertadores if in the Brazilian Cup, Cruzeiro or Fluminense wins. But the true fight in this end of the Brazilian Championship is the relegation. Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 teams fighting for 3 spots, the salvation spots, to avoid being relegated. And right now, for me, the team who's in deep rabbit hole is Internacional. They lost 5-1 against Vasco, fired their head coach, and hired the coach who won the world title back in 2006, he was basically retired, and he came in to, coach the last 2 games pro bono. But, Internacional has 2 hard games. They're going to go on the road against São Paulo, which is still fighting for the possible last spot in Libertadores, and Bragantino, who might be on this fight as well in the last week. Santos got a great win over Sport, who's already basically gave up there the last place. Neymar had a really good performance, scored a goal and everything. And Santos, for me, has the easiest schedule in the end. They're going to face a relegated Juventude and a Cruzeiro, who already going to be 3rd place no matter what, is already locked in the Libertadores group stage, and who's going to play with Corinthians for the Brazilian Cup semifinals. So the last game, this game against Cruzeiro, even though they're 3rd place, Cruzeiro are going to go with all reserves, even maybe some young players, because they're going to be focused on the semifinals of the Brazilian Cup. So for me, Santos is going to be out of the relegation. So for me, the battle, I think Vitória has a hard schedule as well. They're going to go on the road against Bragantino this Wednesday, and then they're hosting São Paulo in the last game at home, and both teams are still fighting for the possible last spot of the Libertadores. So that relegation fight is going to be insane. And still counting out Fortaleza. I mean, Fortaleza had a really tough game yesterday. They needed to win, and they won to survive. And their schedule is pretty manageable to win the last two games. I mean, they faced Corinthians, who played who not playing good on the road and had a terrible game and were saved by the refs yesterday at home. And then Botafogo as well. And Botafogo might be arriving in that game like, done deal. Like, we were in Libertadores, we're good to go. So that relegation battle in the Brazilian Championship is going to be insane.
Oh, 100%. It's crazy, too, how like some of those teams they either could be relegated or they could get into the Sudamericana group stage, too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, the Sul-Americana is a consolation prize. It's funny. And there's going to be another spot for Sul-Americana because the Brazilian Cup champion, they're in those spots. Like either Corinthians, Vasco, Fluminense, or Cruzeiro, they're going to – so until the 14th place from 8 to 14 might go to Sul-Americana.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Hopefully Santos can avoid relegation. I don't want to see.
Oh, they will. Oh, they will. I told her I was discussing there on the radio. Only a disaster. Only Santos really play that. Because again, they have the easiest schedule in the end of this Brasileirão. They don't face any direct competition with the relegation teams. They don't face the teams who are battling out Libertadores or the title. They face a relegated team and a team who's already locked in the group stage of Libertadores, and even are focusing on other competition at the end of the season.
Oh, 100%. And, if they did somehow screw it up, I mean, it feels like that Chelsea cell becoming much faster.
Yes, that's true. So it's going to be an interesting end of the season, and definitely we're going to keep talking about Brazilian soccer because, Flamengo's going to represent Brazil in the Intercontinental Cup at the mid-December, and also we're going to have the Brazilian Cup next week to talk about, the semifinals. Corinthians, Cruzeiro, Fluminense, and Vasco are going to be insane as well. So, yeah, there's what an end of the year. I mean, don't you love November, December sports in Brazil and the United States?
Oh, 100%. There's so much to talk about. Almost 3 hours, just straight chaos here on the first day of December, 24 days until Christmas Day, and 31 days left in this whole year. So, that's going to do it here for episode 210. Just an absolute chaos episode. But for Gus Samozil and American Sala Brazil from Rio Branco HQ, I'm Nickel from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thanking you so much for listening to the only American and Brazilian sports podcast. 2 countries, 2 Americans, all sports. Have a good Monday.